just a small batch of 4 shared entry cars, led off by Scott Brownlee. He'll be very quickly to the line, and we shall get this afternoon's class runs and then run off underway very soon.
Yeah, hello everyone. We're back in the commentary box and back underway with the live stream as well. So how's it going down there in the paddock, John?
I've been wandering around talking to a few of the drivers after the last runoff and just hearing their excuses. Yeah, a lot of them are really happy with the runs, even though they may not have finished the top half of the field. I mean, Dave Warburton, a great run, a bit scary, he said, at times. Richard Spedding thought he was a bit lucky to not go off at the top corner. And yeah, Will and Trevor both agreed that running a bit wide at Junction was the downfall of their good times.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that actually, because obviously David, he saw that and he called exactly that. He said that they probably lost a good bit of time, the two of them. So it doesn't really come as much of a surprise. But it was one of the best runoffs there's been at Doune in a long time. It was brilliant, and the times were absolutely fantastic, as you say. So I'm not surprised we have some happy drivers down there. But we do have a car on the track.
Hi guys, I'm back at turn 1.
How was Scott Brownlee looking there, Paul?
Yeah, looking good. Yep. He's definitely making the most of the dry conditions for now.
And I believe we do have Richard back at Junction back at Oak Tree as well.
You certainly do. Scott came absolutely flying through here, really close up against the barriers.
Yeah, so thank you very much, guys, for tuning in this morning. If you're new to the stream, welcome along for the afternoon's racing here at Doune. We've got another timed run coming up from all the competitors, which will then be followed by the second of our British Championship runoffs. So lots of action to get our teeth into. Good conditions down here as well. Doune, hoping the weather stays on the right side, but we'll have to keep our fingers crossed. Meanwhile, here comes Scott Brownlee. Now, Scott really needs to nail this run, guys, because Scott obviously didn't get a good run earlier on, and it's cost him in class position. How's he going to get on? 50.45 there, so he actually leaps straight back into the class lead after being last in class in the first run. So a great run there from Scott Brownlee.
Mike Stewart off the line there.
We've also had Allan Reid coming into the chicane at the moment in the Peugeot 205. Charges on in. Nice apex speed as well. Can Allan move up a position in class? Currently down in 6th place, but he does a 51.09, so he does move up. Improves by a huge amount as well, 3.5 seconds quicker. Jumps into 4th place. Not quite enough to challenge David Paterson or David Adam, but yeah, 6th and 4th. Well done, Allan. And we've got Laura Wardle off the line in the Porsche as well, Paul.
Lovely Porsche, lovely sound, lovely looking car, and not shy of commitment either.
Laura will be coming to Oak Tree as well soon, Richard.
It's literally just coming to Route U right now, that lovely Black 6 Burble as she comes through, nice and smooth, keeps it right in the middle, turns in nicely for Garden Gate.
We've also had Tom Wilson come past in the big Vauxhall. They're going to be heading across the line now to go sub 60, I'm sure. It's going to be a 58.64 for Tom Wilson. So, of course, these early runners are all improving, because this was when we saw the track conditions a bit slippy earlier on. So all of these drivers are getting the best of the conditions they've had all weekend. So we should see some position changes in the classes as well. But yeah, Laura Wardle going to be making her way up to Eastbury very shortly, I'm soon. There she goes. Coming towards me now, nice and smooth. Beautiful engine note off the Porsche. Oh, misses a gear though on the way in. Gets all gathered up. I'm sure that happened earlier as well. Maybe she's just choosing to change gear at that particular moment. But coming across the line, it's going to be a 56.57 for Laura, so a huge improvement, 5 seconds quicker.
It's a great time.
Yeah, she jumps up to 2nd in class with that, guys. Jumps down from 5th to 2nd. So obviously still a few more to go, but yeah, steady start for a very solid start, I should say, for Laura Wardle. So we've all recovered over that lunch break. Got a chance to have a wee bit of a breather. Thanks very much, John, for continuing some of the coverage down in the paddock. And I managed to get myself some lunch, which was grand. I know you guys did as well. But yeah, recovering from an exciting first British run off there. Changing the championship standings around a little bit, but the majority of it was staying pretty much steady. Richard Spedding kind of jumps up to 3rd, and he was a big gainer. But yeah, phenomenal effort from Sean Gould. I think everyone who's seen it or spoken about it said, brilliant run from Sean Gould. And John, you were saying yesterday, of course, he was the man you tipped for the win.
He was indeed. I think when we did the run round, I've seen Sean in action already this year at Gerstern. I just knew that the car was developing, and he had no fears over coming to Doune. So yeah, a good run there from Sean, and obviously more to come later.
Yeah, no, obviously, I know you wouldn't bring up yourself that you predicted him to win, so I thought I just need to make sure that people know that you're the man of knowledge in the hill climbs. But obviously, yeah, fantastic effort from Sean.
And Paul, Sean this year was the latest entry to the 150 club, at Gurston, over 150 miles per hour over the finish line at Gurston. So the car's got masses of power and torque to get up through the last stretch at Gurston, which is steady climb up for about 400 yards. So it's a car which I think, as Sean said, is good all over the place.
Definitely looked it, and I think it's a car that's good all over the place at Doune, but also a driver who's very well dialed in with Doune. I mean, Sean hasn't taken too many overall wins in the past, but he seems to absolutely nail it when it comes to Doune. He's just a Doune specialist by the looks of it.
Indeed.
We've got a new we've got a new stream starting up for this afternoon, so a shout out to Colin Parrott who's watching. Great to be able to see Doune Hill climb. He hasn't been here since the mid-80s, so that's fantastic to hear. To be here to enjoy the action here at Doune.
Should definitely give you fever to come back. It's quite a special place.
Absolutely. What are you looking for in the next run, Paul? Obviously, you beat your PB last time out, so presuming you're just looking to better it again if the weather stays the right side up?
In all fairness, I hope it rains. I've done what I need to do today for myself. Obviously, I'd like to go quicker, but it's probably best that the car goes home the way it came here, so rain would be fine.
We should be seeing David come past very soon anyway. He should be the second car up.
Yeah, we've now got Angus Dow in the line in a lovely red Fiesta.
Yeah, Angus is going to have to go some if he wants to improve in his position ahead of David, but I don't know if that's going to be possible for him today. We'll have to wait and see. But a 63.65 is his time.
Remarkable competitor. If you look at his times over the years, they're never more than half a second apart. He's so consistent, he's so smooth.
I think we're hearing John Brown having a wee conversation down in the paddock, which is nice, chatting away with some of the competitors. But Angus Dow obviously coming through Oak Tree soon.
Literally just gone through Oak Tree as we speak in this lovely presented Mark II Fiesta. Nice and steady as he goes into Garden Gate.
It's always quite scary seeing your own car on the line when you're not in it.
How does it feel?
I'll tell you in a minute. So that's David Finlay on the line in the Renault Clio. Hoping to better his times from today as well. He's fairly disappointed with his performance this weekend, but that looks like a good launch, unfortunately for me.
I think he'll be safe, to be honest.
Oh, he's got more commitment now.
We've got an angry David Finlay behind the wheel. Just so you know, I think there's a wee bit of feedback coming through your microphone, Paul, so I don't know if that just needs to turn down a wee bit or something, but that's absolutely fine.
Kind of battling with this one, trying to stay away from the tannoy as well.
I know that feeling.
David's just come through Oak Tree, looking quite smooth, not quite as aggressive as you though, Paul.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
I can actually smell clutch.
Oh, that's not good. But Angus, by the way, has done a 60.31, so he's only 0.4 of a second behind David. It doesn't mean that David wins the class. However, David won't know this, and Angus is definitely put him very close. But this is looking like a stronger run from David.
Neil Duncanson was so close to the barrier on the exit of one there, but it was probably the right line. Just looked a bit dramatic.
Yeah, he's just come through here. He's really leaning on the as he comes through Oak Tree. Just really rolled it through and then comes through the other way on the Garden Gate.
It's an exciting car to watch, that Quattro, it really is. David Finlay, though, 57.41 for David. So I believe that's, well, it's not quite as quick as his practice run from yesterday, but it gets him to the end of the event as a class winner. And Neil Duncanson, meanwhile, well, Peter Locke off the line in the Alpine. Here comes the Quattro into the chicane, rounds the final corner, and heading down towards the line. So Neil Duncanson then in Class A2, leading the class after the first time runs, and he does a 53.95, so he raises the bar for Peter Locke. Well, however, Peter's never been out doing in this car.
Yeah, he just came through Oak Tree really quick. Lights ablaze. I think actually needs it at the moment. And then as he brake for Garden Gate, the hazard warning lights came on, so he must have given it a real good going in through as he went through there.
I had that happening as well to Peter when I saw him through the S's. So yeah, you can see the light colour change on the front of the car, but it does look absolutely astonishing as it comes towards me here. Yeah, you can see the hazard lights coming on again, showing how modern this car actually is. He's going to have to go a long way to beat Neil Duncanson's 53.95. It's going to be a 54.03. So I'll tell you what, Peter got within a 1/10 of a second of Neil Duncanson, but it's not enough to take the class win. But mighty attempt nonetheless from Peter Locke. Seem to have a bit of a gap in the hill. What was that, sorry, Paul?
Getting drips of rain down here.
Ooh, I was going to ask about that. There's a bit of wind up here as well. Seems to be a lot of wind and maybe a splash of rain. How's it at Oak Tree, Richard?
Very fine bit of rain, but nothing major at the moment. Still bone dry.
Oh, I've got 5 drips on my 6 drips, 7 drips on my window. This is not looking good. John Brown, is it raining down the paddock?
Yeah, a little bit, just a few drips, but the cloud might just miss it. Might be okay.
It's that psychological thing, though, for these guys in the road cars. If they've got a few drips, they're just not going to be trusting it quite as much.
Oh, well, the GTR's looking fantastic. Great launch off the line. What was the 64 foot in that there?
2.23, so...
It's not bad for a big car.
Yeah, four-wheel drive helping out. Let's see his Garden Gate split, though. It's going to be a 20.72, so a little bit off Peter and Neil.
Yeah, hustled it right through here. He's only got about a foot of clearance each side of the Armco. It's such a big car.
We'll see him coming through junction any minute now. This is, of course, Mike Andrew, normally driving the OMS CF04 that was formerly driven by Stuart Dow, another one of Angus Dow's sons. Stuart Dow, and of course shared a few times with Lynn Owen as well. So Mike has bought that car, but he's got a few wee problem with it now, so he's driving the GTR and yeah, driving it hard. John Pick off the line as well. Yeah,
John Pick's just gone through Oak Tree really quick and tidy. Just a little dab on the brakes as he goes through Garden Gate.
It's going to be a 58.41 for Mike Andrews, so he does improve by a second, stays third in class, and that means we've now had all competitors from class A1 and A2. So A1, David Finlay takes the class win from Angus Dow, then you've got Neil Duncanson winning class A2 from Peter Locke and Mike Andrew, and on to class B now, John Pick, as you say, on the hill. We've also got George Emerson coming up towards Oak Tree just now.
Yeah, really pushing on as he comes in here. Oh, nice tight line through there. Little tap on the brakes, goes through Garden Gate really quickly. Now,
because of these spots of rain, it's going to be harder for these guys to improve, but John Pick does improve by half a second, so that's a great effort from him. So he jumps into second place in class. However, John Hamilton's off the line as well, Paul.
He is, and he's rolled back, so I don't know whether there was a stall or an issue with the timing there, but he's just been rolled back into position just now.
George Emerson, meanwhile, coming into the chicane. Oh, he gets it nice and sideways through the chicane. I think it's a bit slippy, guys. I really do. George Emerson's time 56.41 from earlier. It's a 52.09. So big
wobble coming out the first corner there. He's got it going again, though. He's onwards towards you, Richard.
Yeah, he's coming to sight now, giving it loads of revs as he comes through here. Tidy though. Heads towards Garden Gate, goes on the brakes, turns it in. Like quite tidy.
Now, after the first timed run, these guys were doing it in the damp. So John Pick led in the AMS Murtaya, but he's actually now looking like it's possibly might drop to fourth place from first. And Scott Brownlee, who was fourth, is sitting first at the moment. It all depends on what John Hamilton can do. But his split times are not looking so great for John, unfortunately. He's a good 3 seconds behind George Emerson.
Here comes Morrey in the very beautiful Hillman in, the 1 litre turbocharged car. Really cracking on with that. Nice line into Garden Gate.
A few more drips of rain up here as well, so it's looking slippy under the trees, and I think that's maybe catching out John Hamilton. 56.73 was his time, so he does improve by about a second, but I know John can go quicker than that. He has done before, so that brings an end to Class B as well. Scott Brownlee taking the class then goes from 4th to 1st, jumping up ahead of George Emerson, who goes from 3rd to 2nd, or sorry, he stays 2nd. John Pick drops down to 3rd, and then John Hamilton in 4th place.
Well, Jon Ramsay just come absolutely flying through Oak Tree and into Garden Gate, absolutely on it, giving it all the revs.
Yeah, I don't think he's treating this one as a wet run. It looks pretty committed from here.
John Ramsay, 27.74 was his time through junction. We're going to have to wait and see if they can improve.
Jock off the line now. Also, looks like he's treating it like a dry run here towards yourself, Richard.
Yeah, Jock is not hanging around either. He's absolutely on it through here. Really giving it the beans.
John Ramsay passes me in the chicane as well, looking very quick. Can he dethrone Allan Reid from 4th position in class? Oh, it's going to be close, but he doesn't do it. 52.04, it's an improvement, but it's not enough to jump him up ahead of Allan Reid. This is, of course, Class C2 we're now on to. So,
Graeme McClellan off the line, and this is no use.
I think we might just need to turn the mic down a wee bit from down at base.
Here comes Grant in the view in this beautifully prepared Phase 1 Clio, not that I'm biased at all, but it's looking very quick, and he turns in, gets the back wheel off the claw as he comes through Garden Gate.
Yeah, he's been pushing that car very well, to be honest. He's been right on the back of the other guys in this class. It's a competitive class, as you know, lots of fast cars. Jock Ramsay, by the way, 52.06, so he's 0.02 of a second slower than John. Almost makes it, but doesn't quite, so he stays in position in class. So yeah, fair play to John Ramsay then. Meanwhile, here comes the Renault Clio you were talking about, Grant McClellan. Stuart Reid's also off the line. We'll need to watch Stuart because he leads the class at the moment.
Stuart Reid's absolutely flat out through. He's got the windscreen wipers going as well, and he also gets the back wheel off the floor as he goes to the Garden Gate.
Yeah, Stuart's time earlier, 49.55. Grant McClellan, by the way, has just jumped up 2 positions in class. He's done a 51.96, so he moves ahead of John Ramsay and Jock Ramsay. Only a 10th quicker than them, but jumps up to, I believe that's 5th in class from 7th.
Yeah, he's really motoring there. And in the Clio.
Stuart Reid comes past me.
David Paterson's just coming through in the 106. Flying the front bonnet's just rattling about a bit. I'm not sure who's got the bonnet pin secured.
Now, by the way, Stuart Reid's just crossed the line, 47.32. So he knocks 2 seconds off his first time run. That's a statement there from Stuart Reid. Now we've got David Paterson and David Adam coming up. Can they do anything about Stuart? Stuart's been taking class honours while the other two have been having issues with their cars in recent events. So let's see if they can do anything about Stuart.
This looks like a quick run, so if there's anything going to happen, it'll be this run.
Yeah, David Paterson's flying as well.
I think we're about to hit the peak of the hill. I think it's just going to get worse from here on in with the rain. So now's your time to do it. So
David Paterson doesn't quite do it though, 48.17, so he jumps into second position in class, back ahead of David Adam, but David Adam's obviously on the hill at the moment. Not been a great run so far for David Adam though. He's 0.8 of a second slower than David Paterson through the split time. Mike Stewart also on the hill as well, heading towards Oak Tree.
Yeah, rumbles through here in that lovely Magnum. Slight body roll as he goes through Garden Gate though.
And yeah, 49.31 is the time for David Adams, so he didn't quite have the best of runs there, and it's not going to be his day. He sits third in class with David Paterson second and Stuart Reid at the top of the class then, the 47.32. So that brings the end of Class C2. Allan Reid in fourth position with Grant McClellan fifth, Jon Ramsay sixth, and Jock Ramsay seventh. But you know, on other days, Jock Ramsay can be right up there within a couple of seconds of Stuart Reid, so it shows you how competitive that class is. Past comes Mike Stewart in the double-driven Vauxhall. That sounds like a Porsche. Was that a Porsche?
certainly is, yeah. Looking good.
Yeah, Johnathen comes through Oak Tree. Nice and planted, stable. Gets on the power. Just a bit of a lift for Oak Tree and turns in nicely.
Mike Stewart, by the way, did improve, but he didn't improve nearly as much as Laura Wardle did. So Laura Wardle jumps up to second position in class. Mike Stewart goes up to third place. Geoff Twemlow still to be seen. Johnathen Williamson on the hill at the moment. So we're just waiting to see him come through. Geoff Twemlow off the line, Paul.
Off the line, looking great, as he always does. He's very, very consistent run. Anti-lag going with the things.
Here comes Johnathen Williamson then. Into the chicane, pushing on hard, gets the gear change earlier than Laura did. But can he dethrone her in terms of position? I don't think he's going to do it. It's going to be close. Oh, I tell you what, he does do it. The last sector for Johnathen Williamson, 56.36. It was the speed through the chicane that made the difference. And he jumps up to second place in class, 2/10 ahead of Laura Wardle. Well done, Johnathen.
Geoff came through here really quick as well. Anti-lag popping and banging as he came through Garden Gate. But here now comes Allan McCaskill. Absolutely flying. Such a powerful car. But he's a really smooth driver at the same time.
We're seeing the rain kind of clear up now. If it does stay dry, the hill might come back again, so you never know what's going to happen now.
I don't think we've used grip too much on this now. The times are surprisingly quick. Geoff Twemlow, by the way, has just jumped back up second place in class, 53.18. There's a victory run for Donald McCaskill, who's already won the class, but yeah, Geoff had started dropping down, jumped straight back up, so well done him. Meanwhile, here comes Donald McCaskill through the chicane.
Just a quick note on Douglas Thomson there. He was so neat and tidy to the inside of turn one and carried a lot of speed out there.
Yeah, he looked great coming through Oak Tree. The sound of that 5-litre V8 is incredible.
The rain seems to be doing not a lot for his confidence. It's not putting any dents in it anyway.
Yeah, Donald McCaskill improved by a couple of seconds as well to 48.75, so it is looking strong for these guys. Meanwhile, here comes that, Douglas Thomson. It makes some sound, that car, I must say. He's definitely getting the hang of it more. Don't think he could challenge David Seaton this time round, but phenomenal job nonetheless jumping in that car just for today. 48.69 is the time for Douglas, so he doesn't change position, but he does improve by 3 seconds.
I've just had Lindsay Summers as well through Oak Tree. Really smooth, nice lines.
She's actually backed off a bit through Meadow, not looking too quick. It might just be because the damp and denting her confidence a wee bit, but actually looking pretty quick into the chicane. Nicely past me in the commentary box, and I'm going to fire towards the finish line. It's going to be just below 50, I think. Ben Hamer off the line, Paul.
Certainly is, looking good. Oh, big limiter smash as he comes out of turn one. Oh, it might actually be a misfire. Or maybe traction control.
He's coming through Oak Tree. He's really quite trying.
They had a mechanical problem earlier on as well, I believe.
It was smoking quite horrendously, wasn't it?
So we'll see how he gets on. Lindsay Summers, by the way, did cross the line. 48.77 for Lindsay. This, of course, is the first of our double-entered single-seaters, double-driven cars. And Ben Hamer, by the way, looking very strong. He's about the same as Lindsay Summers through Junction. So actually, maybe this isn't as quick as his run earlier. Let's have a wee look here in the class. You've also got Steve Owen coming through towards you soon. Ben Hamer, 0.39. So he does improve a lot in the last few sectors. And yeah, good time for Ben. Jumps up to 5th position in class.
Steve looking really quick through Oak Tree. It's still bone dry the track through here, so I think they can really carry on and push through here.
It's not bad up here either, to be fair. I thought it was going to get wet for a while, but it kind of stopped and seems to have settled down. So fingers crossed it was just a light shower. Here comes Steve Owen, though. Oh, yeah, gets the back wheel spinning through Eastbury. Now, this car was driven into the runoffs and scored points earlier with Harry Pick behind the wheel. Steve's going to have to go some, though. It's not going to improve. 45.22 for Steve Owen. So he does actually improve his time a wee bit, and he does jump ahead of Ben Hamer, who's just up the road ahead of him. So well done, Steve. Jumps back up to 5th place in class. And that'll be it for that batch. So, yeah, shame for those guys. If any of them were affected by psychological things in terms of the weather the rain coming onto the windscreen or the helmet, then that's a real shame. But it seems like the times are still there. The grip seems pretty good, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. I say it's bone dry up here. There's no rain on the track at all underneath all the trees. I don't know what it's like further down, Paul.
Yeah, you could see spots in the track. In fact, you still can see spots. I don't think it's enough to make a huge difference, in all fairness. I think it's probably, like you say, more psychological.
How's things in the paddock down there, John?
Well, I think it's rained really good off now. We've got some brighter weather coming across. So I think we'll be okay for now, and maybe in 45 minutes we'll get a dry track again. But certainly, looking behind me towards the west, it definitely looks a bit better for the immediate future.
Yeah, I don't even think the track is wet at all at the moment. I think it's a little bit greasy, if anything. But yeah, I really don't think it's too bad. Big waves, by the way, for the drivers coming back down just to the marshals and stuff like that. Obviously, this is for these drivers who aren't competing for the British Hill Climb Championship. This is the last run of the day. So big thank yous going out to all the marshals, and we should probably reiterate that point. I think the marshals deserve all the credit they get. They do an enormous effort to be out here every time we have a hill climb, whether it's Doune, whether it's somewhere else, whether it's Gerston Down, Fintry, anywhere. We need marshals to make the sport run, and they're doing a fantastic job as always. So massive thanks to all of those guys, and obviously everyone else involved with organising the event as well. Lothian Car Club doing a fantastic job, and all the timekeepers, etc., etc. Without these guys, we wouldn't, and girls, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So yeah, huge thanks, and it's nice to see all the drivers appreciating that.
Another big thanks to Rich Danby for running the live stream. I know he's had a lot of positive comments on his previous live streams, and I do watch back myself just to see how it went, and I've got nothing but praise for the setup he's got there. It's absolutely outstanding.
I mean, so much work goes on behind the scenes with Richie D. He spends 2 hours before everybody else in the morning setting up, and the day before the meeting he's there as well. It does take a lot of work to get this all tied in and plugged together.
Also, I actually got a text from Peter Locke up in the holding paddock, just letting me know he broke his PB. So he didn't quite win the class, but got a new PB for himself. He was asking if it counts because it's in a different car to previously. I'm not sure about that, but I mean, he was going some in the Alpine, so it shows how good his RX-8 record was. You know, the RX-8 a lot less powerful, so it was clearly a very good run he did in the Mazda. And next up the hill, we should have the first of the next batch, which will start, I believe, with the modified Class D1. So the likes of Trevor Park, John Lowe, Andrew Grover, Phil Goff should be first on the line, and then Melvin Hartley.
Yeah, one of the non-starters in this class is number 48, Simon Jenks, who is running the Leaders' Championship. And I see him down south this year, so maybe just an issue for this weekend only. And also Johnny McKenzie in the Dax Rush, and D2 is a non-starter this weekend, so a couple of non-starters there. And obviously the next class...
Just going to have to love yous and leave yous guys, heading back down to the car. Sorry to interrupt there, John. Carry on.
It's okay, Paul. And Class F, there's a non-starter, Stuart Sugden in the ADR. I think John maybe knows more about that than I do.
Well, I'm actually not sure on the reason that Stuart didn't manage to make it here today. I think it was only on the Friday that he confirmed he was not making it, but no, I haven't heard the reason, unfortunately. Stuart obviously been running very well in that car recently. Would be fighting with the likes of Brian Beverley for honours in the Sports Libre classes, but yeah, he didn't make it here this weekend, unfortunately. He's been a couple of times champion of the Scottish Sprint Championship as well. Won the top 10 championship last year, so going very well at the moment. So shame we didn't see him. He's also broken the class record here at Doune recently as well.
I mean, we're writing on in the Class C2 modified series production. The winning time, Stuart Reid 47.32, was less than a second away from the class record. So the conditions were obviously not that bad.
And it's of course Stuart's. Stuart actually holds the record in the class as well.
David holds the record, does he? David Adam?
I think Stuart beat it last time out.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe that's in April. Okay.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, Stuart's been running really well this year, and I do believe in April he took the record. So obviously holding on to his position at the top of that class, which is good. But we should see D1 up next. So Phil Goff should be next on the line, and then Melvin Hartley. And then we've got that fantastic battle. The one to look out for the class win is between Trevor Park, John Lowe, and Andrew Grover. Now these guys are only split by half a second, and it's in that order at the moment. It is Trevor Park leading the class from John Lowe, and Andrew Grover in third. So we'll look forward to hearing how they got up the hill, Rich. But as I say, first up is car number 45, which is Phil Goff. Looks like he's lining up and he's underway. So heading up towards Cottage, the former site of Paul Hunter. But we don't hear any open mics this time as he comes round up the hill towards Richard as well at Oak Tree.
Yeah, it's waiting for him to come to the view. Here he is now. He's just coming through Oak Tree. Nicely done. Quite steady though. Nice and neat. And a bit of a big lift as he goes through Garden Gate.
So his fastest time today is 57.24. It's not actually his quickest time. Oh no, it is his quickest time of the weekend as well. But he'll be looking to hold on to fourth position ahead of Melvin Hartley. Now Melvin had an issue in his run. He lost a lot of time, so it's going to be tough for Phil to hold on to fourth, but we'll have to wait and see. Melvin Hartley off the line as well. Much better launch for Melvin than it was for Phil, but Phil now heads towards me in the chicane. Now let's see if he can improve on his 57.24. Melvin Hartley coming past you as well, Richard.
Yeah, he's really got it at the foot down coming through here. Oh, we get a little bit of a slide as he goes through, and then he's back into Garden Gate. Okay then. Big
improvement, by the way, for Phil. 54.98. He stays in fourth position, but it's a good improvement on time. Can Melvin Hartley beat a 54.98? Definitely looks like it at the moment. I tell you what, this is looking like a very strong run from Melvin. He's actually 4 seconds up to Junction, so this could be challenging the leaders of the class as well. Obviously the track a bit drier than it was earlier today, so Melvin giving it everything. He's done a 26.79, 41.87. Tell you what, this is going to take the class lead for Melvin Hartley.
Wow, John just got so fast through Oak Tree. He went right up against the barrier on the outside and then flung it through Garden Gate, absolutely on it.
51.11 for Melvin Hartley, jumps him up into the lead of the class then, ahead of Trevor Park, John Lowe and Andrew Grover. However, John Lowe is over a second up at the split at the moment, so obviously the track conditions playing into the hands of these drivers at the moment. Here comes John Lowe then, firing towards the chicane. Trevor Park meanwhile takes off, but John Lowe nice and tidy and collected into the chicane. This is looking like a good run for John. It's definitely going to take the class lead. 48.20 then for John Lowe, so he does jump into the lead of the class.
Look at his Trevor, he's not hanging around at all. He's really rocketing through here, and a little bit of a lift as he goes through Garden Gate.
He's 2/10 quicker than John Lowe at the moment. Heading up towards Tunnel and towards Junction. Trevor Park appears across the meadow. Now this car is fantastic off the line. Once again, I don't know how it just takes off. Start times are some of the best in the field. Andrew Grover's off the line meanwhile as well, a 10th slower to 64 foot. But Trevor now fires down towards me. He's about 6/10 quicker than John Lowe. Oh, he gets a big moment going into the chicane, holds it together nicely. He's clearly pushing on his Trevor.
Andrew's just come past me as well. He's really quite quick as well. And lovely turn into Garden Gate, really smooth. And
Trevor Park takes the lead of the class, 47.51. So it's all about what Andrew Grover can do about that in terms of the Scottish Hill Climb Championship. Now these two are level on points in the modified division, so very, very close indeed. Always can't be split. As I say, they're both ahead of John Lowe just by a wee bit. Now John Lowe's jumped up to second. Andrew Grover needs to do a 47.51 if he wants to beat Trevor Park. But his split times are not looking so great. I don't know if he's going to do it. Might even struggle to beat John Lowe. 48.70, so he does slot into third position. It's just when it's slightly damp, I don't think Andrew quite gets everything out of that car, that he gets it in the dry. So Trevor Park then takes the win in Class D1, and therefore the lead in the Modified Championship as well, with John Lowe in second, Andrew Grover in third. I say that, Stuart Reid also won his class, so he might be up there in the Modified Championship too.
Richard just came past the OMS SC1, very beautifully played car. That was nicely done. Oh, flipping Nora.
Was that Brian Beverley?
It was. He just clipped the Armco on the way through. Just on the
all
inside.
okay on the way out?
Yeah, no, he just literally scraped it. It was left about 6 foot of white paint on the Armco.
Doesn't surprise me at all with Brian. Pushing on, as always. He was one of the standouts from the first time run. His time was a 44.95 in the slightly damp earlier. But this is looking unbelievably quick from Brian Beverley. Going to come across the line now. It's going to be a sub 44, definitely. 43.84 for Brian Beverley. Fantastic time from him, and he takes the class win.
Allan McDonald's just come through. He's got a bit of a smoke coming out the back of his car. I hope it's all right. He's had a few engine issues with that from the past few weeks.
Yeah, his times are looking pretty good. He's only 0.7 of a second slower to junction than Brian Beverley was. So that's some going for Allan McDonald. Now it heads up towards East Bray. Nice and tidy through there. 37.15 is split to the S's, so looks like it could be a good time for Allan here. Looking to go quicker than his 47.09 from earlier. He does a 45.24, so he jumps into the class lead, does Allan McDonald. Christian Mineeff coming up next.
Yeah, Christian Mineeff thundering through here. It looks amazing, the hill being MP43. He's really on it. Turns in nicely to Garden Gate, hardly a lift at all.
Also shout out to Andy Short, enjoying the coverage, watching from Devon. I'm glad it's sunny over there. I wish it was a bit more sunny up here, but actually it's not been too bad today. I can't really complain. Meanwhile, Christian Mineeff, as you say, looking all right. He's half a second slower than Allan McDonald through junction. He was behind Allan by about 0.4 this morning, so it's all about whether he can move up a position. It looks like it might stay the same way this time round, though, as he comes now round me. David Seaton will be coming past you soon. You'll feel it in your bones. Christian Mineeff, meanwhile, doesn't beat Allan McDonald, so he slots into third.
I could feel Davey before he even got here, and the thunderous note of the engine. It's incredible. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle as he goes into Garden Gate, but tidies it all up.
I say Christian slots into third, is actually second at the moment because we've still got David Seaton to come, but David is the favourite for the class, and he's looking like he's doing it at the moment. He's 0.3 quicker than Allan McDonald up through junction, and that car tends to make up a lot of time in the last section of the track as well. So David Seaton then powers towards me. Looking good in the splits, still looking good in the splits. Yeah, he's improved the gap between himself and Allan McDonald, so this should be Class G then for David Seaton, supposing he holds it together. 44.52, so David Seaton then wins Class G ahead of Allan McDonald and Christian Mineeff in third. Douglas Thomson rounds up the top four with a 48.69 in David Seaton's car. So yeah, great effort from all the guys in Class G. And we have a bit of a pause while we wait for Tom Graham to get off the line. Yeah, just seem to be waiting with to get on the hill. That's him underway now, I believe. So you should see Tom coming up to you very quickly in the single seater.
Yeah, just waiting for him to arrive in his Megapin K7. Here he is now. Oh, giving it loads of revs as he comes through here. Nicely done. Out against the barrier on the right hand side. Turns in nicely for Garden Gate.
Because the track conditions have improved, I can see Tom Graham jumping up a position or two here. His time this morning was a 52.15. If he finds a second, he'll jump up ahead of Colin Graham, so that's probably what he'll be looking to do. Colin, of course, still to go. Let's see then. Comes nice and quickly through Meadow, up towards Eastbury. Fires down towards the chicane, then gets a little bit of a wiggle. Under power, going towards the chicane, not even under braking. And gets power down on the exit though. I think this is going to jump him up a position or two, maybe. 48.89, so he does jump ahead of Colin Graham, slots in just behind Lindsay Summers in Class I. So yeah, good effort from Tom. Just have to wait and see if Colin, who should be up next, can take the position back.
Yeah, still waiting for him here. I don't know if he's left the
No,
line yet.
I don't think he's left the line yet. I think we've actually got Keith Weeks next on the line, so not sure what's happened to Colin, whether there's been a wee issue there of some kind. That's a real shame. So if that is the case, then Tom holds the position. But yeah, it's Keith Weeks. 2.59 seconds, 64 foot. Hi to Hazel if you're watching at home. Keith's doing a good job today, and he should be heading towards you soon.
Here's Keith in the very image. He's well on it as well. Comes to Oak Tree, nice line, turns into Garden Gate with quite a lot of pace.
That's unsurprising as he comes through. Yeah, looking good in the splits. 88 miles an hour through tunnel as well. So Keith Weeks then over the Meadow. He's doing his first time ever. He's doing a full campaign in the British Hill Climb Championship this year. Normally a Scottish competitor, but Keith doing all the miles this year and going around the country trying all the British hills. It's fantastic. Debbie Dunbar passing you as well.
It's slowing. I think. I don't know what's happened to Debbie. I think there's something gone wrong with the engine. She's turned it off. She's just coasting to a halt, heading towards Garden Gate.
We'll get back to that in a second. Keith Weeks 44.07 was his time, so he jumps back up ahead of Steve Owen and ahead of Ben Hamer. So great job by Keith, up into 5th position in class, and no one behind him is gonna challenge that. So well done, Keith, top 5. But yeah, as you say, Debbie Dunbar, she seemed to just lose drive, did she?
I don't know whether it was driver. There was a few pops and bangs as she headed into Oak Tree, and then it lost power. She turned it off just as she drove past me, and she just pulled in on the left side of Garden Gate, and marshals were just heading over to her now.
Yeah, it sounds like a mechanical. Wilker would have been sitting on the line, so he's probably been rolled backwards to make some space. And Debbie Dunbar will be heading back down the hill. Any word down there in the paddock, John?
No, just a few serious-looking faces, but obviously they don't know the problem with that car.
Yeah, main thing was didn't appear in any way to be an accident of any kind, just a mechanical issue.
No, absolutely not. There was no accident whatsoever, just something wrong with the engine by the sound of it.
That's a real shame for Debbie, but she'll. I mean, she's still sitting third position in class. She under threat from Will Kerr potentially, but it's still going to be a good result for Debbie. I'm sure she would have been really keen to be pushing for the ladies' record this weekend as well. So yeah, that is a shame.
Yeah, I know she'll be very disappointed about that.
So it's all quiet down here. They're pushing Harry Pick back to give room for Debbie to come through. I'm not sure if 71 had left the line.
No, I believe
No,
he was still on the line.
Will Kerr's still there.
We've been rolled back as well. So yeah, we just wait and see in terms of Debbie Dunbar getting back down the hill. So that means we've had quite a few classes now finished for the day, which is and it's all been successful. We've not had any big incidents in these classes at all throughout the day, which is great to see at Doune. David Finlay, as I say, taking Class A1. Neil Duncanson winning Class A2. We had Scott Brownlee winning in Class B. Eric Murray winning in Class C1, with Stuart Reid taking honours in Class C2. We had Donald McCaskill winning Class C3. Trevor Park taking the spoils in Class D1, which you'll be delighted with. Class F was won by Brian Beverley ahead of Richard Matosian. I didn't really get a chance to speak about Richard Matosian very much today. He did an amazing job in April, Doune, one of the standout performances, really, really strong running. Did a good job again this weekend. 45.06 was his final time, but didn't end up managing to win the class because Brian Beverley did a faster time. So yeah, great effort from the two of them in Class F. Dave Seaton taking the honours in Class G, and we have still to see the remaining classes to be completed. So the class that we've just been watching just now is, of course, the first racing car class. We've had Keith Weeks leading of the cars that have gone so far, sitting on a 44.07, ahead of Steve Owen, Ben Hamer, Lindsay Summers and Tom Graham. Looks like Colin Graham might not be appearing again, which is a real shame if that's the case. We're still to see Will Kerr, Steve Marr and Harry Pick after the issue for Debbie Dunbar. So lots still to play for in Class I.
The marshals have just
Somebody
done a
down
great
here
job
I'm
of
going
doing
to talk to now, Lee Griffiths, who has come back to the hills again this year with a new engine in your car. Lee, why the change?
Yeah, I think one of the real reasons was we struggled in the lap seasons to get consistent reliability out of the turbo. When it was going, it was very, very good. But where we struggled to get that real sort of run of form and run of consistency. So moved back to normally aspirated, gone a little bit larger, kept the methanol to keep the torque up, and second event in, so far so good really. Just keep on learning and get back into the season.
Okay, we hope to see you again in the run-offs in the future. Thank you, Lee.
I say the marshal have done a great job of doing a 12-point turn with Debbie in the car, because it's quite tight up here to move the car around. I think they're just hooking it up to the back of the the black car.
Testing your knowledge on
yeah, I can't say from here.
there.
It's black and it's a pickup. And then she's just coming back down now, so it shouldn't be long.
I think saying really tight is an understatement in terms of the space down there at Doune. It's managing to turn that car at all is pretty impressive. But yeah, real shame for Debbie. She was having a great day, and it looked like at the start of the day, guys, that she was actually looking the most likely to challenge the Ladies Hill record simply because of how well she was running this morning. You know, she did a 41. Let me just get it up here. Actually, I'll check that before I say it out loud. 41.15 was her run from practice. So she was looking really, really strong. She got caught out a little bit by the weather in the first timed run, and then of course Olivia Cooper and Nicola ended up both going quicker. So yeah, a bit of an unfortunate day for Debbie, it has to be said. I believe John she'll be a wee bit disappointed with that, not able to capitalise on what she clearly had, which was phenomenal pace. Or I can go to Richard on that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Debbie's usually so really quick and smooth in that car. I think she'll be heavily disappointed about, especially if it's a mechanical failure. It's nothing worse than that when you're feeling you were doing really well and then the car lets you down. But we don't know what it is yet. It could be something very minor, and it's just something easy to fix.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's with these single seaters, they are quite vulnerable to wee mechanical failures, I know a big difference between running in the road classes and running in the single seaters, as I believe Debbie's car's now been taken off the hill, which is good. But obviously with the single seaters, you really do have to keep on working away at them all the time and make sure everything's tight. And it's because everything's so highly strung and there's so much pressure going through all the parts of the car. You really do need to be working on them all the time, and that means that there's more of a chance, of course, of something going wrong compared to the road cars, which just turn up, turn the key, and away you go. Unless your name's Richard Brandt and you're racing in the Hill Climb Masters.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. It's the clear is still in the garage after leaving it there in October.
It was a good run up to that point, though.
It was great right up to the last 300 yards, yeah.
Tell us a wee bit, while we've got a small gap here, obviously we'll get back to it once the cars get underway, but tell us a little bit about how the British Hill Climb Championship, places like Doune, compared to the European circuit.
I mean, Gubio was incredible. It's more to do with the crowd. I mean, there's just absolutely packed on the European hill climb. People line the streets left, right and centre. You can't even move, and they're like, health and safety is a bit on the different side compared to UK hills, where people will almost hang over the side of the track, and then when you come back down afterwards, they stand on the edge of the track and clapping and waving. I don't think you get away with that in the UK hill. But the atmosphere is absolutely incredible. When we went out there for the Masters, you got treated like royalty. It was brilliant. Everybody, people were asking for signatures, and just like, I just drive a Clio, and and of course like the likes of Suttie and Wallace and Will and Trevor, they were just getting mobbed by people wanting to come over and look at the cars, because the UK ones kind of stand out a lot from European cars because they're just so much lighter and quicker. Some of the big cars and the Normas and stuff that you run in Europe look completely different. They're completely enclosed. They rely a lot on high downforce, whereas because they're taking a lot more high-speed corners, whereas UK everything's a lot slower but tighter. So we really, base ours on weight and power at the same time as they go with more aero and power.
Just a quick update from the paddock. Debbie just couldn't get a gear. That's why she couldn't keep going. She couldn't get, probably fourth to fifth or something. She said couldn't get a gear, so she's a bit gutted by it all because she was going well. A really good start, she said. So that's a shame. And presumably back again next weekend at Prescott.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can see her back out. But yeah, as you were saying, obviously the European hills, it does seem to be more sports libre type of cars, but they of course have a lot of downforce, and some people kind of forget that just single seaters, obviously they have a huge amount of downforce, but open wheels doesn't mean more downforce than closed wheel. Technically speaking, closed wheel cars do have more downforce. You just can't see quite as directly where the wheels are, which is obviously very beneficial on a place like Doune where it's really narrow, but a big long fast flowing hill with loads of high speed corners, having the body over the wheels and having all that aero is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wheels just create a massive amount of turbulence. So if you can enclose those in some body work, you create a lot package. But they don't really work as well on the UK hills compared to you want to get the weight down, and a single seat with some big rear and front wings just tends to do a lot better.
Speaking of one of those, here they come.
Oh dear, this is the second failure. He's also plumes of smoke coming out the rear, and he's turned it off the engine as well, and he's just coasted into the pull-off.
What a nightmare. That's Will Kerr. It's a curse of the I-Class cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it's quite smoky anyway, but this was absolute plumes of smoke come out of it as he came into Oak Tree, and he turned it off, and they've just pulled him in at the top of Garden Gate, and they're just going to do another 12-point turn by the look of things.
What a shame then for Will Kerr, because he was looking like he could have possibly capitalised on Debbie Dunbar's issues and moved up to third, but obviously that's not going to happen either. So yeah, he'll be gutted by that, and that's very rare we see that. But 2 failures in a row in pretty much the same place. I think you've got they don't want to get past you, Richard. No,
I think it's going to have a good look over it though, because there was so much smoke. I think they're just checking that there's no oil coming out of the car before they send him back down.
The Richard Brandt Clio curse, I think, is what it's called. Engines don't want to keep going past you.
I'm sure everyone else that comes past will be fine.
yeah, I hope so anyway, because it'll be a long night if not. So real shame for Debbie, real shame for Will. Just one of those things, part of racing. And it's like we were saying, those single seaters are more susceptible to these kind of issues just because everything's so highly strung. And yeah, the way it goes. But tell you what, when they are working, they're mighty impressive at all. And it was also great to hear, actually, going back to the European stuff for a second, Richard, that the drivers in hill climbing over there are treated like celebrities, because obviously you got high-end racing in this country, stuff like British touring cars and Formula 1, things like that. You do get that kind of celebrity feel, but with the hill climbing and sprinting, it's a lot of a kind of grassroots feel to it. So it must be quite a change having drivers, the top drivers in Britain, basically being treated like full-on celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't. It's so hard to compare a UK. I mean, I love all the UK hills; are amazing, but the actual spectacle of a European hill climb is phenomenal. I say the way you treat it, the main thing, it's just there's so many people just come. I mean, you get it on the UK, everyone wants to come out and then chat in the paddock, but you literally have crowds of people surrounding you, wanting to take photos of your car, asking you loads of questions. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And also, the closest we get to that, I think, in the UK is probably Shelsley Walsh, just simply because of the enormity of the event. Obviously, Goodwood as well, but it's a different thing altogether, and we don't have the hill climb cars at Goodwood, unfortunately. But, yeah, likes of Shelsley Walsh, it just creates a big atmosphere, and that's what we'd love to do with hill climbing and sprinting in the future, is just, because it's some of the fastest cars in the country, going up, really narrow roads, very, very quickly indeed, probably quicker than a Formula 1 car could. It really is a very glamorous sport, despite being kind of held in a grassroots setting. So I think, if we get if the crowd numbers increase at hill climbs and stuff in the UK, and we get a bit more coverage and people get more involved in it, then I think we could see, something similar in the UK, even on the shorter hills. We could have a big spectacle here as well, even bigger than it is already.
Absolutely. I think all the stuff that Richard Danby's doing with the live streaming is helping massively, just to get... so you speak to many people that have never heard of hill climbing, and they think you're either talking about trials, or you're walking up a hill or running up a hill, and then when you explain to them the motorsport aspect of it, and then you show them some videos of some onboard ones, and they're just like, wow, that's incredible. And I think also all the live streaming, getting it out there on Facebook and YouTube, and getting it to the wider audience, hopefully will get loads of people just wanting to come here and look at it up close and personal.
And if we can get some more of the new public road hill climbs, that now we can legally have a hill on a public road, as they have done down in Cornwall, Devon. Maybe we can more hill climbs back on the public road. That may attract more people, because they can just come out and walk along the road and see it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that as well. You do find a lot of the hills in the UK are hidden away in kind of discreet places, and if people don't hear about them, they could have they could be 5 miles away from a hill climb, be big motorsport enthusiasts, and sometimes have no idea what's going on. So the organisers do a great job to try and publicise the events and get people down to them, which is good. So that stuff like this with Rich Danby's live stream and multiple cameras, we have driver interviews, and obviously we've got the cars in the paddock to put on a spectacle. There's probably 40 or 50 unbelievably quick cars here, plus another 40 or 50 hugely interesting cars, and I think that anyone who's into motorsport would love it if they've never been to hill climb before. It's just a case of getting it out there and getting it to the people. If we let people at home know the names involved, know the drivers, know who to cheer for, and have their own favourites, then it creates a spectacle that I think in the future could be a hugely popular sport within the country, more than it already is.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure if anybody wants to have a chat with Rich Danby about, if anybody wants to, help out, because he certainly needs it. It takes a lot of work to get it all done, and I'm sure he'd be happy for anybody to come and have a chat with him to see if they want to help out any way they can do anything for him. That'd be great.
Yeah, good call, Richard. Absolutely. So I don't know what the situation is down at the paddock. It's a bit quiet while we're waiting for everything to go, John.
Yeah, well, Will Kerr's just been towed back into paddock, so we're just waiting to get the go-ahead for Harry Pick to come up. Was there any oil laid down up there, Richard, or any?
No, I don't believe so. I think there's a thorough track inspection by the marshals, and they're giving me the thumbs up, saying it's perfect.
Well, should be starting quite soon. Harry's just waiting. The pickup truck going back onto the slot by the start line, and then I'm sure we'll get Harry up the hill.
Yeah, should see him soon. And obviously Harry, one of the stars so far of today, taking the class win in Class I ahead of Steve Marr, who's also a brilliant run, 41.71. But he'll be obviously looking to go quicker again this time with the track in good condition. It must be said, I think we're pretty much back to bone dry, which is nice, and that makes a difference for the drivers, so they can really have the confidence to fully attack the hill.
Yeah, I mean the track condition looks great down here. I mean it's probably stayed driest anywhere, probably the most amount down at Oak Tree with the coverage from the trees. But I say it's probably a bit cooler than it was this morning, but it's definitely bone dry.
We've also had a call out on the stream. I think I'm not sure if it's Rich running the comments section representing hillclimb.tv on there, but basically asking what you guys are watching the stream, who you think's going to win the second runoff. Some predictions would be great. So if you are listening, you fancy getting involved, just pop a wee comment on the YouTube stream with who you think might win the second runoff, who you think's going to stand out or do a good job, and you can see if you end up being right. Meanwhile, we do have a car on the line. Looks like Harry Pick's ready to go. And he's actually off the line already, 2.42 to 64 foot. It's a good start for Harry. Let's hope he makes it further than the previous two cars. He'll be coming to you very soon.
Yeah, Harry's absolutely flying through it. Oh, a brilliant line. Sparks flying from the underside as he comes to Oak Tree and again through Garden Gate.
Harry's fastest time, his first time running 41.36. Let's see how this compares then in terms of splits. Obviously did a 40.73 in the runoff, so we should also look at that one, to be fair. And tell you what, he's quicker than his runoff time to Junction, so this could be setting a new marker in the class. But gets power down nice and early out of his spray. Nice and smooth into the chicane, probably smoother than last time. Not sure if it's as quick. Identical split times, 40.86 for Harry Pick, so he ups the ante in the class. Increases his class lead, and we're going to have to wait and see if Steve Marr can do
Bloody hell, Steve Marr's absolutely flying through here. That's incredible.
Well, there's your answer. Steve Marr might well do something about it. We know Steve can go sub 40 in this car up here, so this could be very exciting indeed to see who wins Class I. How's the split times looking? Oh, I tell you what, he's 1.2 seconds quicker than Harry Pick through Junction. This is looking really strong from Steve. How's the split time as he comes through East Bray? Oh, gets a bit of oversteer on the exit, but nicely towards me. Into the S's, the PCT Saxon, one of the most nimble cars in the field. He's a full second and a half quicker than Harry in the splits. This is going to be stonking run. 39.54 then for Steve Marr, and he takes the class win in Class I, and that, Richard, was a phenomenal run.
That was absolutely incredible from Steve. That was so smooth and so fast, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Robert Kenrick as well would have been having to really go some if he wanted to challenge that time as well. Unfortunately, we don't see Robert with the engine issue from earlier on, but yeah, brilliant run from Steve Marr, and he takes the class win in Class I. Meanwhile, you saw Liam Cooper going through. How was he getting on?
Liam looked really good too, very smooth. Carrying a decent amount of pace in here as well.
Heads into the S's now. Liam at the tail end of the class after this morning, so he'll be looking to move up a few positions if he can, but he's going to have to go some to get it. 43.49. He does improve by 1.3 seconds, but stays unfortunately just behind Allan Warburton in Class J. But a good time nonetheless from Liam. Speaking of Allan Warburton, he's just passed you as well.
Absolutely, he was going really well. Very smooth, very tidy. I think he should be up by you by now.
Absolutely, yeah. Heads up towards East Bray. He's looking okay in the splits. I'm not sure if he's going to improve by too much unless he gets a good last sector, but yeah, he's looking neat and tidy through here, it must be said. Now he's got to beat a 42.80 to improve. It's going to be a 41.84, so he does find a lot of time in the last sector. Jumps ahead of Les Much as well, who had an issue coming out of the final corner, so we've got to watch out for Les. He's probably actually the one to watch, because if he gets to run right and he's sorted the car problem, he could be challenging for a class win here. Bernard Kevill off the line as well, and this is jumping up a class.
Les's issue in the last run was he knocked the master switch off.
Nigel Mansell.
Bernie looked really good through here, the nice rumble of that V8. Very tidy.
Now Bernard is the first of our runners in Class L, obviously sharing the car with Simon Andrews. And this is just the double-driven cars that are to come just now, so we've got a few cars running slightly out of order in terms of the class positions, but we'll make sure we fill you in on how they get on when the rest of them take to the hill. Here comes Bernard then. 36.40 is his split. A little bit hesitant on the throttle through the final chicane. The S's towards the finish line then. He's going to improve though, 44.15, so that's an improvement by Bernard. Stays in the same position, but improves his time. And that will, Richard Summers and Nicola, of course, still to go.
Yeah, Richard just come past me in the incredible sounding KF V6. Very tidy through there, turns into Garden Gate very smoothly.
He's going to have to find 9/10 of a second. Actually, he's going to have to find a full second if he wants to jump ahead of Bernard. But at the moment, he's pretty much on the same time as Bernard, so it's not looking like Richard will make a position here unless he finds a good second in the last section. But you never know. I mean, Bernard was a little bit hesitant through the S's, so there's a bit of scope for Richard to find some time. We know the car's capable of it as well. He's going to round the final corner. He's got 44.15 to beat. He's going to do it, 43.00 for Richard Summers. So a great final sector. Jumps him up ahead of Bernard Kevill in that class as well. Now, where is Nicola? Is she about to... I think she's ready to go, about to get on the hill. Just a slight delay.
Yeah, I can hear her go away from the line. That Nick Mack sounding absolutely sweet as always.
Good start as well, 2.12 seconds off 64 foot.
Yeah, she comes into view. Really nice line through A3. Very smooth, heading towards Garden Gate. Turns in. Very nice.
Nicola, 14.62 through Garden Gate. She's a couple of seconds behind Dave Uren in the class, and that's obviously who she's sharing the car with. And if she needs to beat Dave's time, if she wants to move up position in class and hope that Dave doesn't improve. But the main thing we need to watch really is for the ladies' record, which now belongs to Olivia Cooper on a 40.88. So that's what Nicola's going to have to try and beat if she wants to take that record away from Olivia. Heading towards the line, 40.70. So I think she's done it. I just want to get confirmation on that before I confirm it. But yes, it's a new ladies' record again then for Nicola Mingus, 40.70. She takes it back from Olivia.
It is indeed a new record. I mean, Nicola said that she was close to it in the runoff, but just a bit of rain on the visor put her off a little bit. But so Olivia's got her jacket off now, ready to go in the next batch.
Yeah, this is so exciting. They've been to and fro all day, and it looks like it's going to continue. So brilliant stuff. Looking forward to it. That's the end of the batch as well. So they're coming back down the hill. Looks like as well the skies are clearing up a bit. It's a bit brighter up here, and the wind's kind of calmed down. So fingers crossed that's it for the rain, and you'll be able to stay dry down there, Richard, and John, of course.
That'd be nice. I can put my umbrella up.
Also, shouldn't be too long, I think, till we're potentially joined by David Finlay on the commentary at Cottage, or Al Suttie as well. I'll have to wait and see, but looking forward to that as well. Yeah, we've got obviously the next runs. Well, these runs that we're seeing right now all count towards the Leaders Hill Climb Championship, of course, as well. So it really does matter for these drivers to try and do a good second time run.
John, either you're a mind reader or you have a telescope on me.
There's a few trees in the way.
Yes,
we have a pretty impressive telescope. I'd need to see Cottage from here, but
actually I've arrived and now Al is coming down the hill.
Yeah.
So you may get double commentary from here.
I've got a 6/10. What can I say?
Yeah, I think. Is my level enormously loud?
Yes, it is, and it was for Paul as well. So
You scared the life out of me.
Could somebody maybe turn down the level?
we can ask. I'll just put a wee message across the walkie-talkie.
Right.
By the way, we just had Trevor Park coming past me, coming back down the hill. He was shaking his fist, absolutely delighted with his time. So well done, Trevor. Brilliant effort, and he, of course, took the class win. Brian Beverley comes past me as well. Allan McDonald out. All these drivers looking pretty happy with how things have gone there. Big thumbs up from Dave Seaton as well, taking the class win. Big wave from Keith Weeks too. So many waves. We'll just tell the drivers where all the cameras are as well up the hill, so they can wave at the cameras. I don't know if I've got John Brown down in the paddock. John, we've been asked in the stream a question from Adrian, just wondering if we can define what the difference is between BTD and FTD. So I don't know if you want to give that one a go.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. In theory, if you think about it, it should be the best time of the day, because to say the fastest time doesn't go, there's no speed attached to time. So fastest time of the day really is a misnomer. It should really be best time of the day, because that is the best of a number, whereas the fastest is of a stream of numbers, and you can't get time going faster. So I think it should be BTD.
I've never actually thought about that too much, but that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I've never heard it described as BTD either. So
yeah, I mean, if you want to speak to John Warren, he'll give you in the timekeeper, he'll tell you exactly what's the difference between BTD and FTD.
I think it's always described as BTD at Shelsley. Is that right?
Yeah. If you or you speak to Al Rayner as well at Shelsley, he'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
He's got a very witty reply for that, but I can't repeat it over a PA system.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely should be best time of the day, but I must admit I grew up with fastest time of the day. And I know it's wrong, but it just feels right.
yeah, I think that's about the same for me. I've always grown up with FTD. I've always known what fastest time of the day is, but it's one of those things in the sport. We're trying to explain it to people that don't know hill climbing. If you say, oh, well, this person got FTD, it's like, well, this person won, but then did this person win because did this person win their class, or did this person win overall? So this person get FTD, but they could still lose the runoff. It's yeah, it can be confusing.
The Scotland branch of the 750 Motor Club, which was based in Dundee, held at least one autocross sponsored by a local chip shop, and FTD on that occasion was held to stand for fastest tatty in Dundee. And if even John Brown knows that, I'd be very impressed.
I did not know that, David.
We actually for
my first.
Sorry, David.
No, just wondering, is that the first fact about motorsport I knew that John Brown didn't?
No, I'm not. I'm sure it's not. There are many more.
Fastest tatty in Dundee should apply to our dinner dance. in the Scottish Championship dinner dance, quite often held over near in Perth, and we last year we went karting in Dundee, so we could have awarded the fastest tatty in Dundee to that winner.
So we've got George Cahill Jr. to get back to the serious business on the line.
George Cahill Jr. running very well, it has to be said, today as well. He was pretty much on pace with the run-off times, but obviously not qualified for the, or not signed up for the British Hill Climb Championship. How's he looking, Richard?
Really rapid through here, looks great. Oh, he locks the tyre, but he still gets it turned in for Oaktree. Not for Garden Gate, sorry.
You will always have 100% from George Cahill Jr. He's a fantastic driver, one of Scotland's best, and his dad, George Cahill Sr., also races. Father, of course, of Nicola Mingus. But here comes George Jr. down towards the S's, looking very quick. Gets that car nicely through there and powers down towards the line. This is going to be a great time for George. Is an improvement on his 41.4. It is a 40.21 for George Cahill Jr. So he's almost going sub 40. That's a brilliant time.
Les was really quick through here as well. Got great line through Oaktree, and just the finest of lifts as he went through Garden Gate.
This is the one that could change the class order, of course. Les didn't get a good first run. Vincent Banks off the line as well. David? Sounding good.
Oh, sorry, he bogged down a bit, and it's the misfire is worse than it was earlier, unfortunately. I've still got an incredibly high level here, guys. Can someone turn me down?
Meanwhile, Les Much, 39.25, is a 10 slower than David Warburton managed this morning, so Les does not win the class. He jumps up to second place in class, though, ahead of George Cahill Jr. We've still got to see Olivia Cooper and David Warburton again, but that means, of course, Les's time, 39.25. It now becomes all about whether he can qualify for the next runoff. Vince Banks seems pretty happy with how things are going today as well, though. Saw him walking up the hill at lunchtime. And his son Martin's here, of course, supporting him as well. Those two share driving duties in the Dallara. But Vincent Banks is going to cross the line. It's another improvement, 48.08 in that Dallara. So we should be seeing, I would have thought, either David Warburton or Olivia Cooper next.
Yeah, it will be Olivia next, as in the first round. Lee Griffiths is waiting for those two, Olivia and David, to go before him.
So a bit of silence falls.
Not for long, though. Olivia's in the car and she's been pushed up towards the line shortly.
Okay, so this is going to be another attempt from Olivia to qualify for her second runoff of the day. Now, Olivia did hold the Ladies' Hill record earlier on today by setting a time of 40.88. However, Nicola Mingus has just broken that with a 40.70. So, can Olivia Cooper now go quicker once again? Go sub 40.7. Let's find out.
She hasn't even reached the line yet.
Yeah, she's been pushed all the way up the hill, David.
Go on, David. Give her a push.
Aye, sure.
Yeah, that car was new to the Coopers last year. Previously, they were in the slightly smaller class, 1100cc class, in another Force. But the start of last year, they got this new Force TA with the 1600 engine in it, and gradually became quicker. In fact, Olivia did qualify for a runoff last season, and they both now qualified for one this season.
That new Force is a lovely looking car, in my opinion, visually speaking. It's quite similar to the old one, but just little subtle changes.
I think that around the back, the engine cover area is much more streamlined there, and much more coverage of the engine compartment. Kellen Broad is the same car, number 90. He's also Force TA in the next class up.
Yep, we should see him later on as well.
Do I have time to give you the reason for my bad time on that run?
Please do.
Best 64-foot time the car has ever done, by 10. It's like the third gear clutch wouldn't come off the floor.
Ah.
I did 100 yards with the clutch in.
Ah, I see. So it wasn't you.
So I was very sad and unhappy.
Still did a good time.
Well, that's because I got to the tunnel. Thought, well, I've thrown it away, there's no point going for it. But then I thought, you know what, I will go for it. So I was also quicker through the S's than I'd been all weekend.
You looked good through the S's, and you were good through the
That was
as
an
well.
angry. This is Olivia on the go now.
Coming up towards you, Richard.
Yeah, just waiting for the delivery. She's absolutely flying. She definitely wants that record back. Comes through here, lovely turns in to Garden Gate, really just a little tiny lift.
Okay, so she's half a second up at the moment on Nicola's time. So that's the one we need to watch out for in terms of the ladies' record. She's 3 miles an hour faster through tunnel as well. Coming up towards Junction, looking for a 21.61 split, and it's 21.27. So this is a great run from Olivia. Nicola's car's maybe got the legs though in the second half of the run. Oh, she slides beautifully out of East Bray, catches it nicely, fires into the S's. Oh, doesn't get a gear. Oh, she doesn't get a gear through the S's. What a shame for Olivia. She's okay, absolutely fine, going to come across the line. 43.31. It was looking really, really good. It was looking, actually, it was 3/10 up on Nicola's time, so she was looking potentially good for the ladies' record, but it's come a cropper.
So if you just Baby Warby's come absolutely flying through here. Looked really quick as he came through.
Must have a hint of a lift at Cottage.
Yeah, what about Lee Griffiths? And David Warburton crossed the line. By the way, 37.71 for David Warburton. That's a shoe-in for the runoff if ever I've seen one. Brilliant job from David. He extends his class lead, and that, of course, takes the class win. Real shame for Olivia, who doesn't therefore going to qualify for the second runoff with that time. I don't expect. But yeah, brilliant from David Warburton. 37.71. Very, very good time.
Yeah, Lee Griffiths came through here as well, looking really smooth. It sounds so sweet, that 1600 in the OMS 25.
Yeah, really quick ace-spec speed through the chicane as well. He's going to improve, I think, in his 43. Does a 41.46, and Johnathen Varley off the line.
Yeah, he's waiting for the Predator to come into view.
Johnathen Varley is absolutely on this.
Yeah, wow, he's really carrying his speed. Gets really close to the arm code as he comes through. Just the tiniest of lifts as he goes into Garden Gate. Absolutely flying. Yeah,
looking good. Only 3/10 slower than David Warburton to the split. 98 through the tunnel. Of course, they're different classes, these guys. Johnathen Varley already taken honours in Class K1. He's finished ahead of Lee Griffiths and Vincent Banks. So this is more just to get into the runoff. I think you're looking around about with the time improvements we've got with the dry track, you're probably looking to try and get under 40 if you want to qualify, or at least around about that anyway. But here goes Johnathen Varley. It's going to be close to the 40. 39.05 for JV.
And that is our class record this time. Slower than the run-off time, but it is a class record.
Brilliant, well done, Johnathen. Kelvin Broad as well. How was he looking, David?
He's just coming to view past me. Really nice and tidy. Yeah, he's a bit tight as he came through Garden Gate, but still manages to get his foot down.
Of course, this is the other Force TA that John was talking about. Looking good as he comes through the meadow. Kelvin sitting third in class at the moment, behind Gary Dickson and Richard Spedding, who'll both be looking to go sub 40 once again. Kelvin's got a little bit more work to do if he wants to go that time, but it's looking quick. Yeah, a couple of seconds off John Varley. Gary Dickson off the line.
Very well off the line. It's a very good start.
I'm expecting a quick run from Gary.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying. Takes a lovely line through Oak Tree, nice and smooth. And through Garden Gate as well, looking really tidy.
41.65 for Kelvin. I think your mic's a wee bit better now than it was, David. Sounds okay to me. I'm not sure about how everyone else is hearing it, but
still deafening me.
Oh well.
Oh no, I was going to say it's better, but it's not deafening me as much.
Meanwhile, Gary Dickson pushes very hard through the S's, touches the grass on the left like we've seen people do before, and it's going to be a good time. 39.98 for Gary then. Actually, it's a tenth of a second slower than his first time run. It definitely wasn't for the want of trying through the S's though.
I thought you were mocking me for how loud I sounded earlier.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Of course not.
I think we're just going to have a wee sweep of the track here. The S's, all good for Gary. You could see it was the diffuser. Obviously, when the car goes in the grass, one wheel goes down, the weight balance changes, and I think the diffuser just scraped off the tarmac, so we had a bit of a spark coming from the back of it. Looked awesome. I'm sure it was a bit more worrying for Gary, but he's been in there and done that plenty of times.
Right, here's Richard Spedding on the track. Absolutely flat around Cottage.
We've got Richard Spedding on the track now, yeah.
Like he was flat through Oak Tree as well, just lifts off through Garden Gate. Absolutely flying.
How's his times looking? Sorry guys, I was a bit distracted there just because there was still a bit of sweeping going on, but it's all good. Finished now. Richard Spedding 18.89 to Junction. That's looking like a very, very strong split indeed. He's going for the class record here. Comes up towards me. Fires into the chicane. Very, very quick indeed. Quickest I've seen so far, possibly even throughout the whole day. At least since the runoff. It's going to be a great time. 36.43 for Richard Spedding. That's a brilliant time, and that is a class record, I believe, in K2.
Yep, that's a class record by over half a second.
That class record was held by Richard himself, I believe. That sounded like Simon Andrews.
Yes, about 2-3 goes to get off the line. Wheel spin correction, and then more wheel spin.
Yeah,
So I don't think we'd be too happy with that.
comes nicely through at Oak Tree though, and popping and banging that 2.6 V6 Bike engine sounds so nice.
52.58 was his quickest practice time. In the timed runs, sorry, that was his quickest. That was his first time run. Sorry, I should apologise. 42.58 for Simon. Comes out of East Bray nicely. 35.95 is split through S's. So looking to improve on his 42.58. He's not going to do it. It's going to be a 43.48. So not the best run for Simon there. He was quicker in the first run, but yeah, stays in position. And we have a little break here. Sean Gould should be next.
Well, we've got a car on the line. Yes. Taking a little while.
Now, Sean, I've heard that Sean's quite a good driver up to this place.
Not bad. Lovely start, actually. That was really, really good. And that was either somebody firing a cannon at us or starting control.
Wow, he's just super smooth through here. Absolutely planted to the floor as he comes through. So he pulls down the branches from the trees as he goes towards Garden Gate.
Yeah, 10 miles an hour quicker than Richard Spedding and 2.10s up on the split. He's now 3.10s up on the split. No, sorry, still that. I can't even speak, trying to keep up. 2.10s still. He's already at the top of his spray. Alex Summers, meanwhile, off the line in the DJ. But here comes Sean Gould, nicely through the S's. Not quite as quick as Richard Spedding. He's going to come across the line, though. It's going to be another 36.29. So Sean Gould proving his consistency.
Well, Alex was absolutely incredible through Oak Tree. He was fantastic speed through there, and then even better through Garden Gate. You could just hear a squeal of the tyres as he went through.
Yeah, it had to back off just a little bit in the middle of Cottage because he just launched it in, and the back end looked like it was saying, no, we're not having that.
Yeah, coming through the S's now, and heading towards the finish line. It's not quite as quick as Sean Gould's time. It's a 37.34 for Alex Summers, so that's not quite as quick as his first time run either.
Dave Uren has been looking quite cautious today. That was a fairly gentle turn into Cottage.
Dave just come past Oak Tree, ran it all the way to the outside in the Armco, looking good though, carrying a lot of speed.
Yep, this is obviously going to the runs that are going to count towards the second British runoff. So drivers needing to set a good time in this one. Of those who are qualified, of course, everyone else is counting towards the Leaders' Championship and the Scottish Hill Climb Championship, of course. But here comes Dave, past me now, heading towards the finish line. It's going to be sub 40, definitely. It's a 38.07, so that should safely get him into the runoffs.
Maybe he was making sure he would get into the runoffs because he's that down here.
Just looking to see who so we've still got Trevor, Will and Wallace, and I believe that's it.
Well, Wallace is on the start line now.
Cool. So we've got 3 more people looking to qualify, but at the moment it's looking good for, well, it's definitely looking good for Sean Gould, Richard Spedding and Alex Summers. It's also looking very good for David Warburton, Dave Uren. It's looking good for Johnathen Varley and Les Much as well. And more in the bubble, Steve Marr, Nicola Mingus as well. That'll be Wallace.
Wallace is really trying as he comes through here, pops and bangs loads of times, and then he turns into to Garden Gate, absolutely on it.
116 miles an hour through tunnel. That's not bad, is it? Right on pace with actually he's quickest so far. He's quicker than Sean Gould even through junction. So this is looking like a very strong run from Wallace. As he heads now into the S's, fully committed. Not quite as nimble as the Raptor through there, but that's to be expected. Bigger car. It's a good time though, 36.38. So he's just behind Sean Gould, just behind Richard Spedding, just ahead of Richard Spedding. Sorry, half a tenth ahead. So good run from Wallace.
This is Will Hall in the background. Oh! Just wobbled round.
Wow, he came really wide as he came into Oak Tree and gathers it all up though, comes through Garden Gate really quick, also took a bit of tyre squeal.
He had to back off because he ran right at the exit of Cottage as well. I wonder if he got a bit of an understeer issue going on?
Just before he came into Oak Tree, he came in really wide.
Right.
He's got so much power, you can see through Meadow, he's having to feather it when other people are lifting off. I think that car is one of the quickest in a straight line of the championship. Definitely one of the quickest around the corners too. Will Hall, one of the quickest drivers, 38.02 is Will's time. So that will easily see him qualify for the runoffs. So just Trevor Willis to go now. I'm trying to work out who's in the bubble. Trevor on the hill, I'll let you guys talk about it.
Trevor wobbling around the middle of Cottage as well.
Really smooth through Oak Tree though. A couple of sparks come off from the underside of the car and into Garden Gate without any issues.
I think it's Nicola Mingus on the bubble here in terms of being knocked out of the runoffs, but I don't want to confirm that until I know. It could be Harry Pick. But Trevor looking good anyway. Yeah, looking like he's going to qualify. 19.33 is his speed to junction. Charges now out towards the S's. Oh, a bit of oversteer, but gathers it up nicely. He's going to come across the line now and do a 37.22 for Trevor Willis. So he qualifies as well for the runoff. It means that Sean Gould, by the way, takes the quickest time from the 2 timed runs, followed by Wallace Mingus and Richard Spedding in 3rd. So that's your top 3, excluding the runoffs, of course. I'll just try and work out who's qualified if you bear with me a second. John Albston on the hill.
Yeah, John's just going past us in that absolutely beautiful Brabham BT38C, sounding gorgeous.
I do believe, actually, Nicola Mingus has crept through in 12th position. I think it's Harry Pick who just missed out.
I think I agree with you there, John, so far.
Yeah, so shame for Harry, but he did a brilliant job in the first runoff to get some points, and it looks like Nicola might have another chance to get some for the second time. Meanwhile, John Albston is going to cross the line. He's done a 52.24, which I think for him is a PB. He's looking to beat his time. He's set in the Lotus up Doune. This is the first time he's taken this particular car up Doune. And his PB in the Lotus was in the 52s, so I think John's just taken it in the beautiful Brabham with his most recent run.
Just been told by a couple of the marshals that it might be worth just checking out the bottom of John's car. They said they thought they might have seen something dragging along as he was coming past.
All right.
If somebody in top paddock just wants to have a quick look at that for him.
Perfect. As Kenny Baird comes through in the Fisher Spider. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this is possibly one of my favourite cars in the whole paddock. It's just stunning.
That car is the first racing car I can remember being able to identify at the age of 4. Still a long way back for that car.
It's a 59.05 was the time as well for Kenny. I do believe John Albston did beat his PB because he's also got the class record according to this, which I've not been 100% correct throughout, but I do believe that might be a class record for John Albston. And if it is, well done, brilliant job. He seemed happy with his day.
Class record listed in the programme, as far as I know, is correct.
Yep, so should have it then. So well done to John. He's been having fun in the Brabham, but he knows there's more pace in it.
I've just seen Colin Graham come through as well. He must have sorted some issues out he had with his car.
Brilliant. That's good then. He could jump up. So because we thought we weren't going to see him again, but he could still then jump up a few positions if he does a good run. Look at his split times. He's 38.7 to S's. He's going to need to get a 48 or lower if he wants to change position. He's going to do that, 46.40 for Colin Graham. So he jumps up ahead of both Lindsay Summers and Tom Graham in Class I. So well done, Colin. Glad to see him out. We also had Dean Bowie in the Mazda MX-5 716 come across the line in a 55.86. So that's an improvement also for him by a full second, but keeps him in 5th position in the Mazda class. And that is the end of the batch.
You were talking earlier about speed traps.
Was I?
I think you were. Weren't you? You were talking about people at Gersten. Somebody was talking about people at Gersten being over 150 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was me, David.
That was you, right, okay.
That was me, David.
Right, okay. Chesley Walsh, last weekend, on his first practice run, Wallace Mingus recorded 160 miles an hour.
Over the finish line, presumably.
Over the finish line.
Yeah.
And it's not a long way from the finish line to the top paddock entrance. So I suspect that when he goes up the finish straight, what's on his mind is not so much the time as how soon he can hit the brakes after he's crossed the line, because it's a very urgent matter from 160 miles an hour.
Yes, I mean, even more impressive to do 140 miles an hour down through Hollow at Gersten.
5 seconds after you've left the line, yeah. That is just scary.
Yeah, so, until we get this confirmed, John Monroe,
Yeah.
I think we've got Steve Marr actually qualified for the top 12 as well.
We do indeed, and Les Much as well.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to run them through the qualifiers if you want, John.
I'll run through what I've got here, and we'll basically get the confirmation. I've got Nicola, Steve Marr, Les Much, Johnathen Varley, Dave Uren, Will Hall, surprisingly low down there, Dave Warburton, Alex Summers, Trevor Willis, Richard Spedding, Wallace Mingus, and Sean Gould.
Yeah, same as I've got up here. So fingers crossed that's the correct information. So.
And we will also again have Nicola running up first. Well, she's qualified 12. She'll run up first and come back down again straight away for Dave to take her up later.
I would guess that someone's going to put the spanners on Will Hall's car, because we had 2 reports of running very wide in the exit corners. So I don't know, maybe it doesn't have enough front end at the moment, but maybe that can be dialed back in.
We'll have to wait and see when we hear from him.
So what time did you have for John Albiston? I didn't get that one.
John Albiston's was a 52.24.
Thank you.
Which I believe is a new class record for him and a PB. Just a quick shout as well to a couple more of the comments. We have Ray Farmer, fantastic coverage. I was meant to be marshalling this weekend, but laid up with the flu, not the few. A big shout out to Fiona, my better half, who is marshalling today, and to all the others in orange. So we repeat that sentiment. Ray, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for your work with marshalling. It's brilliant. I hope you feel better soon. Also had Steve Elliott asking what's happened to Jason Moran. Not been out for a few events.
For what I know, I believe he had a few engine issues a while ago, and no, he hasn't been out for quite a few, not since before Gurston at the end of last month.
Hope he comes back. Oh, good fun watching him with that. The 4-litre jug, isn't it?
Yes, indeed, it's a lovely car, the ex-Roy Lane car.
Mm-hmm.
Is that car alarm going off again?
Is that the oldest GR55?
No, the oldest GR55 is the chassis number 1.
You don't say.
Yes. Sorry. Jason's car is number 2, chassis number 1, which is owned, driven by the Calders and sprinting at the moment.
Of course, yes. Okay.
The original Adam Fleetwood car has been through a lot of people like Nick Olgar, and now the Calders have had it for a few years. And we have, I'd love to see Heather Calder on a hill in that car.
Can we, in fact, I must confess I have never seen Heather compete, except on YouTube videos. But I was at Game Sprint last April, and there was this 600cc Jedi, which was being placed absolutely perfectly on the track. I thought, who on earth is driving that car? And the technical grandman was Louise Calder, who was Heather's younger sister.
Yeah.
So Heather Calder is famous. Louise Calder is on her way to becoming famous. She drove that car so well.
Well, Louise has been one of the top competitors in the Scottish Sprint Championship for years now. She's been pedaling the ex-Dougie Brown Jedi with it's got the 1100cc engine. And she's been,
Sorry, what engine?
It's 1100 cc's.
Is it an 1100?
It is, yeah.
That's
yeah.
a lot of engine for a Jedi.
It is, but she's been pedaling it very well, taking multiple class records and winning top 10 championships, stuff like that. She's been doing really well, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll see her share the wheel with Heather, and of course Dad Colin as well. Maybe the three of them can have a shot. But yeah, no, Heather doing a great job as well. Just want to give a wee shout out as well. Speaking of Scottish competitors, it's been a really good second time run for the Scottish crowd, because we have, of course, Wallace Mingus qualifying for the runoff. We also have Les Much this time getting in after a problem in the first run. We have Steve Marr getting in after not making the first one. And we also, of course, have Nicola Mingus. But between that, we have Gary Dickson and George Coggle that both went quick enough to have qualified if they were eligible. So yeah, brilliant job from the Scots on the local hill. And speaking of Scots on the local hill, here comes Laura Ramsay on the line.
Oh, what a brilliant lick that was. She's on the start line. She just left the start line now. Obviously, these cars that we're going to see are very, very much slower than the ones we've just seen. But that does not mean they're being driven any less hard.
Absolutely. I'm just going to quickly, while Laura's on her way up the hill, Scottish Hill Climb Championship results. So Wallace would have taken the win and the full points there, followed by, I believe, next up would have been Les Much. And you have Steve Marr, Gary Dickson, and Nicola Mingus. I'm not sure if George Coggle signed up for the Scottish Hills. Possibly is. But yeah, so good running there for the Scottish Championship. Steve Marr making up some points on Gary Dickson as well, which is a great job in the PCD Saxon.
David Grubb on the hill now in the Sport Fiesta. Now this is, I would say, possibly the slowest car in the event. But David Grubb, I don't know how he does it. He gets the most astonishingly good times in this car. Maybe he's found a shortcut that nobody else knows about. But he does an amazing job.
Oh, Laura Ramsay, body roll into the chicane, really pushing on in the Saxon. This is going to be an improvement on her time, surely. 62.08. So actually, no, it's 100 slower, but it wasn't for the want of trying. She was really, really pushing on there, as I'm sure David Grubb is, Richard.
Yeah, he came through here. He looked pretty stable, and then he braked really late as he went into Garden Gate.
This car clearly set up not for hill climbing. You can see, the body roll you get in this Fiesta as well. As you say, David, possibly one of the most standard cars in the field.
It's barely set up for car parking, but I mean, he can do low 60s in that car. It's amazing.
There's Craig Dow sounding absolutely amazing in that little Fiesta with the CVH engine back popping as he turned into Garden Gate.
That's your favourite car of the event, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Well, Craig Dow actually did an identical time to another favourite car of the event, Jon Beckett in the Chevrolet Corvette. Very different cars, but identical times in the first time run, so let's wait and see what he can do. Meanwhile, David Grubb, by the way, 64.41.
For goodness sake, how is that possible in that car? The Toyota Celica GT4 at the front end pretty much lifted coming out of Cottage, and the car started going straight on when the corner was still turning. You get what I mean there? So it was quite exciting.
Also, Craig Dow's gone sub 60, 59.43, so the first time here at Doune this weekend, and first time he's ever gone, therefore, sub 60, and I believe that makes him quicker than Angus was today, so I'm afraid, Angus, bad news, Craig's beaten you today.
Sub 60 in a road-going car on your first Doune is an amazing performance.
Totally agree.
Absolutely excellent.
Very much agree. Jon Beckett on the hill in the Chevrolet. David Lawrence has come past me. Let's hear Richard's microphone for the Corvette.
Oh, yeah, I just turned it on not enough in time. He came through, though, same with the, what did I call it, a Bumbly Rumble?
Bumbly Rumble.
Yeah.
Obviously a good run then if he's already passed you by the time I went.
He was, yeah, he's really clocking on as he comes through there.
So quicker than David Lawrence through the split as well at tunnel speed, which is good, not in terms of time, but in terms of speed. Let's see if he can beat Craig Dow in the Fiesta, which will be interesting to see. David Lawrence, by the way, 52.67. It was actually slower. So 3 out of 4 of the cars in this class have gone slower in the second run. So it shows you that this was when the conditions were really at their best last time out. Here comes the Corvette, though. A lot more civilized through the chicane than last time. I say civilized, it's still quick, but a lot less completely sideways than last time. He's not going to beat Craig Dow, though. It's going to be a 61.53 for Jon Beckett, so he's a bit slower than he was earlier today.
Just had Jim come through in the Mini Cooper S as well. It's looking really tidy. Every run I've been quite impressed with him. He's got the lines right. I think he just needs to press the accelerator a bit harder.
Yeah, Russell Dean's on the hill as well in the Renault Clio. Speaking of Clios, well, I'll let you go for this one, Richard.
Yeah, and it's just come past me. Really nice line through Oak Tree. Really, just a tiny tap of the brakes as he goes through Garden Gate.
Well, speaking of Clios and speaking of Richard, we've had a request for you in the chat here by Les Wilson saying, come back soon. We need a Phase 1 Clio 172 at the front again.
I'd love to. I just need to rebuild the engine. As soon as it happens, I'll be back.
You need some cheering up, David. We need to cheer you up.
I do need cheering up. I'd like Richard to rebuild the Sierra Cosworth. 632 horsepower last time?
Yes, 631 and 603 foot-pound of torque, but yeah, that will be rebuilt, but I don't think I'm going to compete in it anymore because it tries to kill me.
Well, yeah, try to kill everyone, right?
By the way, just come to the end, Russell Dean's 54.60. Speaking of Russell, he should jump up probably in Class A2 in the Scottish Lowland Speed Championship as well, because obviously Jim King and Derek Rothney, who are right up there, are not competing this weekend. So just a wee update on the Lowland. It looks like Ian Wright in the Honda Civic should be taking the lead of the championship in that one.
Oh, just to let Paul Hunter's just come through here, absolutely on it through Oak Tree, really powering through. Just a tiny tap of the brakes, goes through Garden Gate on 3 wheels.
Paul,
as many as that?
So it could be 2. He just comes out of sight.
He's right on Grame Sinclair's split time in the wee Clio, so Paul fairly tanking along, as he has been the entire weekend. 53.02 was his time in the first time run, so that's what he's looking to beat. Graham Sinclair's done a 52.96, so no improvement for Graham. I wonder if the track conditions are slightly going downhill then. Not in terms of rain, but just in terms of temperature. Because we've seen a lot less improvements in this class. Paul Hunter, 52.49, that's an improvement, and it throws him ahead of David Lawrence and Graham Sinclair up to 3rd in the class.
Oh, for goodness, that car should not be going that quick.
Yeah, that's an impressive time. That's a very impressive time. So Paul Hunter jumps up to 3rd in the Clio.
The number of standard bits in that car, that's a ridiculously good time.
He was absolutely on it through Oak Tree. I don't think he could have gone much faster through here.
Yeah. Oh, a big tyre squeal through the final corner for David Reid in the Subaru. Now he's going to do a 52.71, so not quite as quick as Paul on that occasion, but was quicker in the first run. So well done, David. I'm sure we'll see a happy Paul Hunter coming back down the hill shortly. Still see Ian Wright, of course, and Graeme Bremner in this class. Ian Wright's the one I'm saying should take the lead in the Lowland.
Chaps, I'm going to wander up the hill now so I can be at junction for the top 12 runs.
Perfect. Well, enjoy the coverage on your way up the hill, David.
I will.
And we'll hear from you soon.
Graeme Bremner's just come past me in the Lotus 211, looking really smooth, and it just handles so well. It just completely flat as it goes through the corners. It just looks awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. Graeme, a multiple champion in Scotland in terms of the sprints and hills. He's won many Scottish Sprint Championships over the years, and not registered, I believe, this year, but just out for a bit of fun in the Lotus. Usually shares a car with Jennifer, who I think is here this weekend. So, hi Jennifer, hope you're enjoying yourself. Graeme definitely looks like he's enjoying himself at the moment as he comes through the last corner. He's already taken the class win, so it's just a case of honour. 48.75 for Graeme, so he does go sub 50. Is there a VTEC screaming past you?
It certainly was. Ian Wright's just come past with it. Absolutely, Harry flatters up against a 9,000 RPM limiter, it sounded like.
Yep, and this should be a good run for Ian Wright. 57.15 was his time from this morning, so he currently sits 7th in the amalgamated class, so not really a proper representative class in terms of who he's up against. The likes of Graeme Bremner, obviously a very different car, but this car would be the same class as Paul Hunter in the Scottish Championship, so that gives you an idea of how quick Paul's going. Here comes Ian.
Julia Paterson's just come past me in the Van Diemen as well. That's probably looks like the fastest run of the day to me. Looks really smooth, really quite tidy indeed.
55.95 then for Ian Wright, and he doesn't jump up a position in class, but he does improve on his time, so that's good for him. Stays behind Russell Deans, who takes honours in what would be Class A2, other than, of course, Paul Hunter in the Clio, who's gone even quicker. So, yeah, well done to everyone in that class, and I'm sure Paul will be enjoying watching that back in the stream later on. But Julia, yeah, as you say, looking strong. Allan Bowie should be coming past you soon in the Mazda as well.
Yeah, coming past right now. Nice and steady line through Oak Tree. Brakes a bit early for Garden Gate, but still manages to get round nicely.
2/10 improvement for Julia, so she'll be happy enough with that, I'm sure. In a class of her own, unfortunately, this weekend, but you can only compete against yourself anyway, so yeah, she should be happy with that time, I'm sure. And Allan now heading up towards Eastbury. We also have James Robinson off the line in the Golden MX-5, which will be coming to you fairly soon, Richard. Still waiting to see Allan Bowie. There he is, up through Eastbury.
James Robinson's just come through as well. Nice and smooth and tidy as well. Oh, does it brakes twice for Garden
Gate.
Garden Gate, that's the word I was looking for.
Wait, there's something going on when a car's slightly out of shape or under braking for it. It's funny how your brain just goes to there's going to be no.
He braked once, then he braked twice, and then he missed the gear. I was just kind of like.
So a scrappy run through Garden Gate then for James Robinson by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But he needs to improve on his run this morning if he wants to move up in class. By the way, Dean Bowie, who went earlier on in that previous batch, did a 55.86. Didn't improve position, but improved in class. We've just had James Robinson come past me, pushing on, trying very, very hard to improve on his time, and he is going to improve in his time. 61.31. Doesn't change his position in class, but it is an improvement for James. We're then seeing Keith Rose up the hill, who is next up in the class.
Yeah, Keith just come past me, also looking really good. Nice line through Oak Tree.
Heading up towards Eastbury as well, we have Jason Russell on the hill. So many Mazdas MX-5s, all very similarly matched in terms of performance as well, as close to standard as they can be pretty much. And as we keep saying, these guys flying these cars around here and doing a great job.
Yeah, Jason Russell just come past absolutely on it through Oak Tree, really pushing on. Little bit of a break as he came through Garden Gate, but that's probably the fastest one looking so far.
Keith Rose 58.02, by the way, jumps him up a couple of positions in class, so he'll be happy enough with that. Just in behind Dean Bowie, we've got Jason Russell on the hill at the moment, as you say. You'll have David Wallace coming past you soon in the Screamy Eunice, as I'm going to call it.
I will leave the mic open so you can hear it. It is quite a distinctive exhaust note.
Jason Russell, meanwhile, drifts top of Eastbury.
Oh, gets it right out against the Armco as he comes through Oak Tree, and there, nice line through Garden Gate as well, really on it.
Jason Russell crosses the line, 57.35 for Jason, so that's a good 1.6 second improvement on his run. Jumps back ahead of Keith Rose and into 6th position in class. Here comes David Wallace. I can hear him in the meadow. You'll have Neil Girdwood coming past you very soon as well. But yeah, good exit as well at the top of Eastbury for David.
Neil's just come through Oak Tree, just the slightest lift as he came through. He's braking for a Garden Gate. Oh, really quick through there.
Coming across the line then for David, 54.66. improves by over a second and leapfrogs Neil Girdwood then into that position in class. Neil's the next one along, so Neil will have to find some time. He was looking good through Garden Gate, you were saying?
Absolutely, just the faintest of lifters he came through Oak Tree, and then got a really good line through Garden Gate too.
Well, and it shows in the time. He's over a second up on David Wallace, so this is looking like a really good run from Neil. 44.60, so he's still over a second up as he comes through the final corner. Nice wide line through the last corner. That sometimes works quite well because you can get the late apex. And 53.83 then for Neil Girdwood, so he jumps back up into second in class. And I tell you what, that was only 0.03 of a second slower than Andrew Connell this morning, so he almost took the lead of the class. He's actually jumped up ahead of Ross Glenn as well.
Andrew Connell just came here also really quick. That he turned in so well to Garden Gate. The front end just gripped and it just pinged it round.
Neil Girdwood, by the way, taking the challenge to Andrew Connell and Ross Glenn, because Andrew's still got the class lead, but only by 0.03. And yeah, at the moment he's actually slower in the splits than Neil was. So sorry for not really realising that, but Neil Girdwood kind of coming out of nowhere to really fight for the class win there.
Ross has just come through as well. It possibly looks like the fastest run so far. He was really nice to Oak Tree, and he had a really quick turn off through Garden Gate too.
Andrew Connell crossed the line, 53.67 then, and he maintains his class lead. And just you have to see in Ross Glenn, but Ross is slower at the splits so far, so he's got to make it up. Drifts through the top of East Spray as always. It's just become a kind of standard practice for Ross. Really pushing into the chicane. Probably the fastest one we've seen around the last few corners. This could be, he could find the time, 53.67 to beat, 54.02. He improves on his previous time, but not enough to jump up, and he stays third in class. It's a win then for Andrew Connell with Neil Girdwood in second and Ross Glenn in third in the MX5s. But thank you so much to all of those guys for the entertainment. It's brilliant.
That's quite a surprise because Ross looked so quick through here. I'd put money on him being the quickest, but
yeah, sometimes that's the way it works. I mean, he was 0.3 slower than Andrew even to Garden Gate, so clearly just using all the track, but maybe just not carrying quite the same speed.
I just had the Hazelwood's Sprite come through. I love that car. It looks very nice in white.
Alex Hazelwood, yep. He kind of crossed the line, 59.16 for Alex, so a bit slower than he was in the first run, which leaves the door open for Al Suttie. Only got to find 0.3, does Al, to dethrone Alex from the top of the class.
Richard Morris has just come through in his TVR as well, very tidy. But I think Alistair might want to have a pop at this for the class win.
He's got a good chance, doesn't he? He just needs to find 0.3 of a second, and then he'll do it. But Richard Morris, meanwhile, in the TVR, heading up.
Oh yeah, Alisdair, he's not hanging around here. He's really trying. He's coming through Oak Tree very quickly. Heading, brakes nicely for Garden Gate, turns in. Yeah, I think that this is looking good.
Let's see Al's split times then. He's 0.2 slower than Alex Hazelwood at the moment up to Garden Gate. We'll wait and see his tunnel speed. Meanwhile, Richard Morris, by the way, crosses the line, doesn't improve. 66.47 to stay third in class. Al Suttie, oh yeah, he's found the time. He's a 10th and a bit up in the split now, come up towards junction. And obviously, we did note that Al doesn't seem to quite have the power in the last section of the track, so he's really going to have to go some from here on in if he wants to beat Alex Hazelwood. It's looking good though. Comes into the S's, nice and neat and tidy. Determined face on Al Suttie with the open face helmet. Gets the power down. It's got 59.16 to beat. He's going to do it, 58.73. So, actually, no. He does do it, but I was talking about the wrong time. It was a 58.83 he needed to beat from the first run from Alex Hazelwood, and Al's done a 58.73. So, by a 10th of a second, Al Suttie takes the class win in the sports racing cars up to 1971. And as you say, Richard, he looked like he was really pushing on there.
Yeah, he absolutely wanted that by the look of it as he came through Oak Tree. Really pushing on, especially into Garden Gate as well. He takes a nice line through there, nice and wide on the left-hand side, and then just pings it across to the right. Look good.
And we had a big beep of the horn there from Andrew Connell and Ross Glenn as they came down the hill, thanking the marshals, and just generally looking very happy with how their runs have gone. Al Suttie giving a wee wave as well. So yeah, happy drivers at the top of the hill here. Big toot of the horn from Laura Ramsay. You probably heard that through the microphone as well. Now the top 12 runoff looking like getting ready, John.
Yeah, they certainly are. Nicola is in the car already, waiting to go. Tim's just going to come across and make sure I've got the right order. Hang on.
And of course, just while John's checking that, I can confirm, by the way, that's all of the second time runs finished for the day at Doune, so it's just the runoff here to go. So our competition runs have come to a close, and we just wait for the top 12 shootout. We had a very happy Paul Hunter with one arm aloft out the window as well. Very happy with his run, I think.
Okay, John, the order we talked about earlier has been confirmed by Tim Wilson, so we will be shortly starting the runoff with Nicola Minges. Just while I was sitting there during that last run. I thought I'd try and do some points calculation for the Leaders' Championship. Now, these are totally unofficial. Obviously, Robert Kenrick failed to score today in the Leaders, and Richard Spedding got 2 class wins and 1 class record, which gives him 19 points from the day, which puts him only 2 points behind Robert at the top of the Leaders. And the class record gives him 3 over the year, and Robert's got 4 so far. And really, at the end of the year, with drop scores, there's probably going to be a number of class records to decide who wins the Leaders' Championship. The other gainer from today was Johnathen Varley, who had a couple of wins and also a class record. He moved up to 3rd with 83 points. Wallace is still in 4th place. David Warburton with 2 class wins goes up to 5th, and the absent Stephen Moore drops down to 6th place. So it's closing up nicely there at the top of the Leaders' Championship between Robert Kenrick and Richard Spedding.
Brilliant stuff. Very exciting indeed. And of course, just a disaster for Rob with the inability to get a good time in today after such a strong weekend as well. Obviously, he had a strong day yesterday, and then for that all to kind of go wrong on the Sunday when it actually counts at Doune, of course, is just a hammer blow, because all your work in the weekend just comes to nothing.
And it was all because of a small clip which had corroded and let the injector loose and let the fuel away. So yeah, a tuppenny piece, a bit like the Jim Clark going back in 1964 World Championship when he failed to win because of a little seal fell out of the engine. Cost pennies, and it cost the World Championship. These are the things which let your car down, the things you don't notice when you're trying to do a run through the engine. And the rain is just starting down here, I'm afraid.
Oh, here we go. This could
a
get
few
exciting.
spots of rain, but not, depends where it's coming from. But it's definitely a little bit of rain starting there.
Is your heart ready for a top 12 runoff from Oak Tree in the damp, potentially, Richard?
Absolutely. It'd be fantastic.
Good.
I prefer it to be dry, in all fairness, because I think it's kind of a better spectacle, but it's always good to see how people can handle it in the wet.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's still dry up here, so fingers crossed it's just a wee quick passing shower in the paddock.
Well, it's really unfair on Nicola, because she said that in her first run-off there was a few spots of rain in her visor, which really let her to lift off a little bit, and now it's quite heavier down here now.
I mean,
but we're getting the cars called forward, so whether they'll come out or they'll try and change tyres first, I'm not sure.
Well, you say it's unfair on Nicola. However, if it starts pouring with rain within the next couple of minutes, Nicola will be the only one who gets a dry track. So it might actually end up being a brilliant one for Nicola.
Yeah, but she's got no time to change into wets. The others do.
It's still dry up here, so if she gets out quick enough, then she might still have a dry run on dry tyres, and then everyone else will have to go in the wets. It could come down to something like that. So she'll be eager to just get up on the hill, I think.
Well, they're bringing her forward now, so but I'm sure she'll be quite cautious, because it is quite a rain burst down here.
Well, someone can tell Nicola it's still dry up at Meadow and up through the chicane, the S's. So.
John, I'm at Junction now. It's starting to rain at Meadow.
Oh right, okay, right,
yeah.
Here we go then. I'll stop telling the drivers that it's dry.
No, it's okay. It's just the weather hasn't caught up with you yet, I think.
Yeah, I'm in my box anyway. Maybe it's that, but no. I'm now getting a few drops hitting the side of my window. So yes, right on time. The rain begins. So Nicola should be on dry tyres, but she might get the best of the track conditions.
And Steve Martin is also on dry tyres, and obviously then after no sign of panic from the rest, they're all cloud watching at the moment. See if there's a temporary shower or not. It may well be. We were talking about this all day, really. The Vegas, the weather, and the luck of the draw.
Certainly, it's nowhere near the point where Nicola, for example, would need slicks.
Wets, you mean?
Wets. That's exactly what I mean, yes. Turn most of the words in that sentence upside down, and you get my basic point.
Nicola's off the lane.
Hill now, yeah?
Yeah, she comes to the oak tree. There is definitely water down as she's coming to oak tree, but it dries up underneath the tree. She's very smooth through there, though, and turns into Garden Gate nicely.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what effect that has as she comes towards you, David.
Yeah, okay, she knew it was going to be wet up here, so it was cautious through Junction, but again, it meant she was able to fire off on a straight line across the meadow. So she's looking quite cautious at the top of Eastbury right now.
Seemed okay coming out of it, to be honest. Didn't get the slide that she had earlier, and I think there's quite a bit of grip still at the chicane. I'm really still not getting the proper rain. But she's going to come across the line then. Jacket's going on, I can see down the meadow as well, but it's a 49.41 for Nicola Mingus. So yeah, a long way off the dry times, 9 seconds off.
But if it keeps raining, that could prove to be a very useful time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It just depends on what the others can do. On if it's a bit wet and the wet tyres, but they know that what they've got underneath them, maybe they can push harder. It's going to be close to that kind of time. It just depends if the rain stops or not. Steve Marr could be looking good as well, though, because that light Saxon should suit these conditions. They're gonna have to wait though for Nicola to get back down the hill.
And in that time, the rain has lessened off a little bit down here.
I think it would be a very good idea for Nicola to come down the hill about a quarter of a mile an hour.
She's not. That's for sure. She's fairly pedaling on. So, yeah, Nicola obviously not thinking of any kind of cheeky tactics to get it to rain on everyone else. She's just doing a very, very polite thing and getting down the hill quickly so the others can get their run before the track gets too bad. So, fair play to Nicola.
There's no major tyre changing down here. Will Hall's getting front wets ready, but no activity actually pushing them on. And yeah, the rain is almost off, in fact.
Nicola's just coming back past me through Oak Tree.
So Nicola the only one to set a time then with a 49.41. It is funny when there's only one double driven entry in the runoffs. It is that kind of, you get the adrenaline comes up and you get one car up the hill, and then you've just got to give it a few minutes, get everyone gets nervous and get excited and all sorts before we actually then get on with a flurry of the fastest cars in the UK going up. It's some spectacle. Are the British Championship runoffs? Do we have a car heading towards the line?
Not yet. Nicola's just passed us through, so Steve's now fired up and we'll be going round the corner. It also depends how strict they are about the 2 minute change, 2 minutes between runners. Because in theory, once the runoff has started, you're only allowed 2 minutes between each car to get started.
Yeah.
Other drivers tend to be very tolerant of that, though.
I know they do, yes, I know.
Is it still raining down there?
Yes.
Slightly, yeah. Not as bad as it was.
So it's just going to be a case of how Steve Marr off the line should go to that first. I don't know if we've got anyone at Cottage just yet. Heading towards you soon though, Richard.
Yeah, I can hear him coming. I can't see him yet though. Oh, yeah, got a good line to Oak Tree. Bit of a big lift that he did earlier, obviously because of the conditions, and he's turned through Garden Gate though really smartly.
I could hear him being quite tentative in the throttle at Oak Tree. He's being less tentative at Junction. He carried a lot more speed into the corner than Nicola did, although the PCD is a much lighter car than the Gold, so that could have something to do with it.
Well, the benefit as well for the spectators down, they can hear us obviously down the paddock, or what we were saying about how the grip is, so they can have an idea before they go out and do their runs. But Steve Marr then comes around the final corner, looking quicker than Nicola at the moment. He's going to do a 47.34, so he does jump ahead of Nicola Mingus. And Steve Marr flying the flag, of course, for the up to 1100 class, and of course the Scottish Brigade as well. Doing a good time there, Steve, in what looks like very tricky conditions out there.
There's been a lot of flag flying this weekend. You speak of little else.
And here's another Scotsman, Les Much, coming to the line.
Flying the flag for Scotland, Les Much.
Stop it! Flying the flag for red cars.
Yeah. And GWR, of course. So he'll be the line probably getting going very shortly. There we are, underway. Les Much fires up through turn 1. And we'll see how he gets on through Oak Tree, Richard.
Yeah, I can hear him coming.
Good launch, by the way.
Oh yeah. Wow, he's still carrying the speed very well through Oak Tree. Comes out to on the outer side, almost clips the barrier and then goes through Garden Gate really smartly. I think that looked a lot quicker than the previous one.
Oh, he sounds like he's going pretty quick. Yeah, that's the fastest onto the meadow by some margin. I think you said that people in the paddock can hear from us that it's raining. I think Les must have had his helmet on when that happened, because I don't think he heard.
No, it doesn't look like it through here either. It's definitely not dry, you can see that, but it's going to be an improvement on Steve Marr's 47.34. He's going to definitely go into the lead here, 44.04.
Oh yeah.
So a good time, Les Much. And that guarantees him, of course, a point.
And points mean? No, I'm not going to go there.
Johnathen Varley coming round up to the line, still on slick tyres, obviously, in the Predator.
those of you who haven't been to any hill climbs in a while but did used to be interested in them might recognise this car slightly, just to recognise the shape of it being different to the Raptor. It was of course the former Arrows V10 engine car driven by Graeme himself, who builds it. It's been converted now to the 2-litre, and it looks absolutely stunning. I believe it's got the Dallara back end with the Raptor front end mixed together, and Jonathan's a great driver, so that's why it's a crowd favourite, and he's off over the way. 2.33 in the split.
That's good. He's using all the revs on that BDG. You're really quick to Oak Tree. Using plenty of the track. Turns into Garden Gate really smartly. It doesn't even sound like he lifted.
Over the mics, that sounds like a dry run. And it still does now. Oh, come on, Jonathan. Oh, yeah. Pushing that. I think he
did you see that slide through there, David?
Yes, I did. I was going to say he very carefully didn't slide through junction, but he did slide most of the way around the middle.
Slides at the top of his spray as well. He is pushing on. This is a good run from Jonathan. This is going to be in contention for a good result. If the weather gets any worse, Johnathen 101 through tunnel, 22 to junction, 42.83 is the time for Johnathen Varley. That's not even that far off a dry time for JV. Brilliant job, and that is laying down a benchmark, showing you what can be done.
You know, the Cosworth BDG engine was quite regularly fitted in period to rallying Mark II escorts, and I think Jonathan thought that that's what his car was in, because there was a definite bit of escort tail endiness going through the middle.
Scandinavian flicks, yeah. Dave Uren is in
Yorkshire
the car.
flick in this case, I think.
Dave Uren is in the car and will be coming out shortly after the change of seat, etc.
Jordan Bevington, by the way, saying Shelsley have stolen our sun. And there's chocolate cake there as well. I want some chocolate cake up here.
Well, it's dry here down the paddock really, so I think we've probably had all the rain we're going to get. See, crossing fingers.
If that's the case, it's a real shame for Nicola, and especially, well, Nicola, Steve and Les, and probably it's a real shame for all the early runners, really. But that's the way the weather goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. And if it kept on raining now, or if we get a sudden really bad storm, then these guys are looking really good for good points.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to the extent of saying it's not raining. It's kind of not quite not raining.
Not quite not raining or raining.
Yes.
Not quite.
Well, my paper's not getting any wetter.
Right. Maybe it can't. Maybe it's reached maximum wetness.
Anyway, Dave Uren's been pushed round the corner, followed by Will Hall. They're all still in slick tyres, so...
Yeah, I think that's the right call. It's bone dry underneath the trees here at Oak Tree.
The last 8 runs of the day.
Yeah, it's such a shame when the weather just kind of slightly changes and for one run to the other completely changes grip levels, because it just takes away a wee bit from the spectacle, I guess, because you just know that no matter how good someone does in a damp track, they're not going to be able to fight with someone in a dry. But other than that, the point of sprinting and hill climbing is that you don't really know until you get to the track anyway. So it's all about who can adapt quickest, and that's part of the game.
Guys, I'm being heckled by spectators. Could we have the marshals lassoing at this point?
It's probably deserved, David.
They're all not. Stop it.
I would come help you, David, but I'm quite comfy up here.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, yes.
So, Dave, on to the line then. We see the Gould GR55 rolled up towards timing and is about to launch. And away he goes. 2.33 to 64 foot. Identical time to Johnathen Varley. Remember, it's a 42.83 he's aiming for.
Nice quick entry to Oak Tree, gets it right against the arm car on the right hand side and turns into Garden Gate really smartly too. That knick-knack sounding awesome.
Yeah, he's quicker through the splits, guys. Lost
Yeah,
speed.
careful but accurate through junction, or the outpatients clinic as I'm now calling it.
Actually lost all of the advantage he did have over Johnathen, was lost going into junction, maybe just safe on the brakes. But he's looking quick at the top of the hill, which is a bit more dry, I think, than the bottom. And he's going to head to the line now. Can he beat Johnathen Varley's 42.83? Yes, he can. 42.17, using the power of the Nicholson McLaren engine to get himself across the line, and takes the lead in the runoff. So we've been pretty much as order as status quo at the moment.
He has been just determined not to lose speed by going sideways in that car. It looks a lot more calm than he did in previous years.
Someone who won't probably look too calm is Will Hall, who lines up at the moment. That car, one of the most aggressive in the championship, and also one of the quickest.
And he's off the line.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, guys.
Good time, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't think I could do a time like that. But
Will carrying some serious speed through Oak Tree, popping and banging all the way round and into Garden Gate.
Up towards Junction now, David.
Eek, okay, that was very quick. He's not just relying on straight line power, that was one of the quickest through Junction we've seen so far.
Yeah, he's actually 2 seconds up on the split from Dave up to this point, so Will going to
2
the win
seconds?
here. 2 seconds, yes. Oh, sideways through the chicane, holds on to it, almost clips the wall on the right, but gets away with it. Will Hall's going to take the lead here, 38.97 for Will Hall, so sub 40 runs, guys, the track's getting there. That's a huge difference. That's almost 3 seconds quicker.
Yeah, it's just about less than a second slower than his qualifying time.
And next up we should have Dave Warburton.
Correct, just coming out in towards the start line now.
This car used to be black, of course, so a slightly different looking car now, just as quick as ever, and David's driving it, has to be said, brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. Look forward to seeing what he can do in the runoff. It'll be tough to beat that time of Will Hall though, guys. Although I did say that about Johnathen Varley as well.
Pressure up, he's off the line. Good. Very controlled, very controlled.
Yeah, Baby will be absolutely flying through Oak Tree. That's probably looks the fastest so far, and turns into Garden Gate faster than anybody else by the look of it.
Oh yeah, no, that must have been the fastest turn-in speed. That was significantly quicker, I think, than Will Hall. This is a very, very good run.
We're all saying it looks the fastest. He's not up in the splits though. He's half a second slower, but let's see what he can do through the S's.
He's got about 300 horsepower less.
Yeah, well that's it, yeah. But heading towards the line then. 39.52 for David Warburton.
Very, very good.
Yeah, great driving, and it sounded like he was looking fully committed, but just didn't quite have the power of Will's car, and ended up losing half a second. So I mean, it's still a great run for David nonetheless in these tricky conditions, but he slots into second place.
What's the speed? Did he do a 37 earlier?
Yes, he did a 36 earlier, I think.
A 36. Oh right. Okay.
37.446 he did in the first runoff.
Right. Okay. Because the track is very substantially worse now than it was then. So only to lose 2 seconds, that's a bit good.
It's good going indeed. Alex Summers off the line.
Going to stand well back at this point.
Fighting with the car through turn 1 on the exit there a lot. A bit of understeer and getting back on the road. Slowing down too much.
Lovely line through Oak Tree. Carries a speed so well through here and into Garden Gate.
Half a second slower than Will Hall at the moment.
Yeah, and also not as quick through Junction. It sounds like he was overdriving a bit of Cottage, maybe underdriving slightly here.
Yeah, so obviously still struggling for traction, but I would have thought Will Hall's car would have been affected as much as anything else on that one. Tell you what though, Alex was really, really quick through the S's. He's not going to beat the time though, 39.68 for Alex Summers. So he slots into third place provisionally, behind both Will Hall and David Warburton.
David Warburton is going to be very, very pleased with that.
And he should be. It's a brilliant run, and there's not too many more to go, I believe. We have already had 8 competitors, so only 4 to go. Where do you think this one's going to go? I'm going to put my money, I'm going to say it right now, back on Shotfield.
That's Trevor up to the line now, Trevor Willis.
Do we know what tyres Trevor's on? It looks like he's on the Avons.
I can't see from here. But I think he's still on Avons, yeah, Trevor.
Getting ready to go then, the reigning British Hill Climb champion, sitting on the line. Previous winner, of course, here at Doune as well. And there he goes.
Was that a 1.96, 64 foot in the damp?
This feedback is lovely. I'm loving this feedback.
Really smooth through Oak Tree and through Garden Gate as well. Not leery at all. Really planted.
He was 1.96 off the line, David, and looking very, very quick.
Okay, just a little bit more careful than he was on the dry run, and came around Junction much better than he did earlier.
Looking at the splits, he's 1/10 quicker than Will Hall then, our current leader. Heading towards the S's, 31.70, so he's quicker now by 4/10 than Will Hall. This could be a round-winning run then for Trevor Willis. Let's wait and see. 38.32, so he takes provisional lead in the runoff. 0.6 of a second quicker than Will Hall. So our reigning champion shows his mettle and takes the lead. Brilliant run from Trevor, and you were saying there it looked fantastic.
It was so smooth through through Oak Tree and Garden Gate. He got it hooked up so nicely.
It was kind of smooth and yet also on the limit through here.
Yeah, exactly the same in turn 1, just really, really well driven. No drama, had it where it needed to be, and that's what made the run.
Rich Spedding up next, I believe, John.
That's correct, yes. Richard, Wallace and Sean, the last 3 to go.
Just lining them up on the grid, on the start line now.
I think Richard's got a really good chance at this one as well.
I think it's drying up a bit as well.
Richard's come off the back of that win at Shelsley, which he never thought he would get in his life.
Big squiggle on launch. Really nice through here.
Not the quickest 64-foot time.
Oh, that's really fast through there. Really quick. The change of direction on the Raptor is incredible.
Screaming through the tunnel. Yeah, not the quickest in the apex of Junction, but he came out straight and could absolutely load on the power.
0.4 of a second quicker than Trevor Willis at this stage, guys, as he heads into the S's. And he's still 0.3 up going into the S's, nice and nimble through there as well. I said Trevor's could be winning time, maybe this could be 37.88. So Richard Spedding jumps into the lead again, so it's half a second quicker, and the bar keeps on moving.
Completely different technique to Trevor through Junction. Trevor wanted to carry speed through as far as he could. Richard didn't turn in too quickly. I mean, still pretty rapidly, but by no means the quickest. But then just floored it as soon as you could see the track going across the meadow. So
Yeah.
2 completely different techniques.
That's him guaranteed a podium as well, with only Wallace, Mingus and Sean Gould to go. So at the moment you've got Spedding, Willis, Hall, Warburton, Alex Summers, Dave Uren, Johnathen Varley, Les Much, and then Steve Martin, Nicola Mingus, rounding up the 10 runners that we've had so far. So guaranteed a point is everyone from Les Much and forward.
Have you signed up for the speech therapy class there?
I will be doing that. I will.
Mingus? Right, okay.
Can't even say yes. I will be. Yeah, I will be signing up for it.
I think you'll be getting one of those gin bottles over the head if you carry on. And that's what
Force
we're
of
doing now. A lot of traction control coming in, obviously out of the first corner there, just keeping it.
Massive pops and bangs as he comes through Oak Tree. He's really trying hard. I think he wants this.
Good split times, guys.
Oh, yes. That was one of the quickest turns into Junction. Surely that was a very high speed in the traps.
Yes, it was 98 miles an hour, but he's 500s quicker at the moment than Richard Spedding. So this is it, though. Richard always good to the last chicane. I tell you what, though, Wallace has nailed that one. I think that's his quickest of the weekend, and it's going to be a good time. 37.80. He takes it by 0.08 of a second.
Oh, that helps his championship there, definitely.
Does Wallace have enough then to win a run-off here at Doune? He takes it by 0.08 from Richard Spedding, but we've still got, of course, Sean Gould to come up. Can Sean make it a double?
Well, because it's Sean Gould, above all, we have no idea whether that's good enough. Because Sean Gould could do almost literally anything.
The thing about that run from Wallace is he was so similar through every single split to Richard's time. There was no point where he was more than 0.2 quicker or slower than Richard's time. It was unbelievable. He was just matching him just slightly ahead after the start and managed to basically hold it like that for the rest of the run.
And in 2 quite different cars.
Yeah, very different drivability, completely different manufacturer. Yeah, interesting. Fastest time through the tunnel was actually Trevor Willis with 101 miles an hour, matched by Johnathen Varley.
What?
Yes. Shows you how quick Johnathen was through Garden Gate. But we have one more competitor, guys. Sean Gould. Can he make it a double here at Doune, or will the honour lie with the local hero Wallace?
What's the tyre warming going on, guys? Push to the line now. Start line marshal setting the car up. Step back.
Here we go then.
Red rise.
37.8 to beat.
And he's off the line. Be a good start, that one. Massive speed.
Wow, he comes absolutely flying through it with the 4-litre V8 Judd. He's really on it.
He's quicker by 0.3 to Garden Gate, guys. Heading towards you now, David.
Definitely
Good
not
grief.
surprised.
Right, okay, let's see how this goes. Not absolutely the fastest through Junction, but maybe about 3rd or 4th fastest there.
Speed trap time?
100 miles an hour through the split. Coming towards the next split here. He is currently, he's 4/10 quicker than Wallace. It could be a double here for Sean Gould. Can he beat 37.80? He can, 37.41. So Sean Gould by 4/10 of a second takes the second runoff win of the day. It's a double for Sean Gould. Absolutely awesome stuff from him. Richard Spedding sits third position, Wallace Mingus in the other, Gould GR59 in second. So it's a GR59 1-2 ahead of the Raptor in third place, with Trevor Wilson, the OMS, fourth, Alex Summers, DJ in fifth position. So 4 different manufacturers in the top 5.
I think I find Will Hall's fifth, John.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm
Will
looking
Hall, then David Warburton, then Alex Summers is actually 7th only.
I'm reading myself the wrong list. That's what I'm doing. I'm going for most recent, so ignore me for that.
Just a quick comment on this. That GR59 in Judd engine form. That's a new car this year.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's been the development looks like it's been really hard work over the last few months, but now still maybe over a third, but less than half of the way through the championship, that car has won in perfectly dry conditions and slightly damp conditions. If it's already a car that can win in 2 different sets of conditions, I can't think of a different word for conditions, you know what I mean. Wet or damp, dry or damp, that is pretty good going.
I think we all
That's
need
a
some help
well-sorted
with our
car.
speaking.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Sean was fully committed as he came into Oak Tree. I mean, absolutely on it as he came through here.
Pace leaving the first corner was visibly quicker. I mean, the times will probably reflect that, but just the way it left the first corner was fantastic, especially in these conditions where it's not fully dry. There was plenty of commitment shown there.
Yeah, I think Wallace pretty much matched him from junction to the finish, more or less. Sean Gould found about a 1/10 of a second between junction and the finish. It was more the first half of the run for Sean that was standing out. He was 600ths quicker off the line, then found 3/10 to Garden Gate, and then found, of course, pretty much held on to that 3/10 gap, actually slightly increased it by the finish. So, yeah, brilliant start of the run for Sean Gould. And as you say, Paul, it seemed to be that first turn that did it for him. And what it does do for Sean is almost double his points tally for the year. He was only on 25 points before this round, but he now leaves Doune with 45 points in the British Hill Climb Championship. Wallace with a second place there in the second runoff, and of course a 5th place in the first runoff. Scores highly as well, so he keeps his championship lead going strongly, scoring, I believe, 15 points. So yeah, great weekend for Wallace, brilliant weekend for Sean Gould, and it has to be said as well, Richard Spedding, great weekend for him, 2 third places for Richard, so that's 16 points for him. And that does move him up, in fact, to 3rd place in the championship. So as all the energy that's been floating around, we all get our breath back, and everyone kind of comes back down to earth. We'll leave you with a few thoughts of everyone here of the weekend. Obviously, we've been sitting up here. I've been sitting up in the commentary box. We've had Richard out there at Oak Tree for the whole weekend, pretty much. And as someone who usually competes, and as you're making your debut commentating, first of all, I think you've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much for your input. It's been brilliant. What's your thoughts? Really, sum up the weekend for us.
I think it's been fantastic, to be fair. I was terrified when I first started doing this at the beginning of the weekend. I'm still terrified now, but I mean, you don't really get a better spectator point than sitting the other side of the fence, looking onto the track. To be fair, from here, it's awesome. Though the big single seats can pass you so quick, you hardly get a chance to commentate, and it's easy to forget what you're saying. And corner names as well.
I forget what I'm saying all the time, don't worry. But no, you've done a great job, and it's been really, really great to have you up there.
Cheers, yeah, thanks for having me. It's been lovely.
We've also had John Brown down in the paddock, of course, for the whole weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from him for a bit longer. But yeah, John, what's the mood down like in the paddock now? Everyone shutting shop?
Yeah, everybody's shutting shop and just waiting for the cars to come down for the final denouement and the presentation of prizes, presumably. And it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I think in these tricky conditions, I think we should congratulate all the drivers for very few field runs from accidents, if any at all. So we should congratulate all the drivers for their performance in these tricky conditions over the weekend. It's always good that we finish nice and early, and it allows those with a long journey home to get back down to the far south and the far north. And so well done to all the drivers, and thanks also to all the marshals and all the officials who have been out in this changeable weather as well. And look forward to seeing you all again up here in September.
Absolutely. Do we still have David at Junction?
You do?
Oh, okay. I thought you might have started wandering down the hill. I should probably
Very
come to you
tempting.
next, though, because I know you've got a longer distance to go. But yeah, how have you found the weekend? Obviously, your first time commentating and competing together in Paul Hunter's car. I know you've not been too happy with how the driving's gone and stuff like
It's
that,
been,
but sum it all up for us.
Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure, except when he has hissy fits, although I have slightly more hissy fits than he does, in fairness. We're working with Paul, shut up you. It's been great. The car, he's set it up fantastically well. Considering the limited equipment is on it, he's obviously driving it brilliantly. He didn't think he could do a 52. I knew he could do a 52, so I'm not surprised. He is. The only slight flaw in all this was that I had an absolutely awful weekend, and I wish I'd stayed at home. Apart from that, it's been
Was
lovely.
our company really that bad, David? Come on.
Well,
yeah. The driving, obviously, you've not been in the seat for quite a while competitively, so I don't think you can blame yourself too much for that.
well, it's
Sounds like you
it's
can
one
blame
of
the
those-
clutch by the sounds of it.
Al Suttie actually said earlier on, it's just one of those weekends. And it is, and everybody goes through bad weekends,
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I agree with that.
It's
Probably
it's
not
making
Al
sure the
Suttie
next
as
one
well,
is good
gonna
is the
say,
important bit.
Our fellow commentator smashed his PB this weekend as well, so it's been a good weekend for him. So.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah, huge thanks to Al as well for helping us out at Cottage as well. The three of you have done a good job switching out, and obviously it's good fun to commentate and drive, but it is a lot of work having to run between your car and run between microphones and etc. etc. So yeah, thank you very much guys for that. And as I say, Al Suttie not on the comms right now, but he smashed his PB and has been throughout the weekend helping us out in the comms as well. So huge thank you to him, and of course Paul. Brilliant job today driving wise. You enjoy that run off there at the end?
Yeah, it was nice to come out of the car and wind down and watch that, because that was quite something on a damp track. Really, really good to see.
Yeah, and of course we look forward to having everyone back here in September for the next round of the British Show Climb Championship at Doune. Of course, there's plenty of rounds between then and now. And of course, plenty of rounds in the Scottish Championship and the Lowland Championship as well. I'm going to get some updates for the Lowland Championship later on today, but unfortunately haven't really been able to get the full statistics for you up here in the commentary box with the kind of resources I've got here. But thank you to Peter Locke, who's been helping me out with that as well, and of course everyone else, all the technical people. Sandy, of course, huge shout out to Sandy for setting up all this equipment for us, because I know he's running up and down the hill constantly all day, running about, trying to sort everything out in terms of the microphones, and of course all the people involved in that as well. Huge thanks to all of those guys. The cars are coming back down the hill, by the way, guys, so make sure if you're still on the hill, give them a big wave, big thumbs up. I'm sure they'll be happy to wave back on what's been a successful day.
Did you mention Rich on the live stream? Did I miss that?
Well, just come into that, don't worry. But
Sorry?
yeah, we're still to come to that. But we've talked about this throughout the day, though. The live stream has been fantastic. And
Right,
Rich is doing a remarkable job with getting that set up. And obviously, he's had the different cameras on as well. We've had the paddock camera rolling about. We've had different cameras at Meadow and through the first turn, etc., etc. So it's been brilliant. So yeah,
It'd
huge
be
shout out to him
interesting
as
to
well.
see the figure as big as last year. I think I can't remember the exact number, but it was something like people from 38 countries across the world tuned into the live stream.
That's brilliant. And also, obviously, Rich doesn't do it all himself, and Eleanor's here in the paddock at the moment with the roving cam to get pictures of the cars coming down. So I'm sure the live stream will be continuing for a bit longer until maybe after the presentation of prizes. I'm not sure what Rich plans to do, but Eleanor is here ready to do some photography in the paddock as the cars come down.
Yeah, so just Les Much just passing me there. We had Trevor Willis giving a big wave as well. So we'll wait at the bottom paddock to congratulate in all of our top 12 runoff qualifiers. Johnathen Varley looks very happy with his run as well. Big wave from him. And we just wait for... There you go. That's the first of the cars coming back down the hill now then. And yeah, I'll stay up here for just a few minutes as well, just keep things going while we get the cars down. And obviously we have John Byrne in the paddock. But yeah, following rounds of the Scottish Hill Climb Championship, we've got Forest Burn next weekend. So the likes of Gary Dickson will be out to try and maintain the lead in that championship. Steve Marr had a good weekend as well, of course, doing some very good times and scoring lots of points. Managing to beat Gary in the running today as well. So well done to Steve Marr. And yeah, as we say in the British Hill Climb Championship, it's a championship lead extension for Wallace. And Sean Gould, of course, scoring what I believe must be his first double win of his career. Is that right?
I think he's only scored 4 wins overall, maybe 5, but yes, it's his first double win. And that's 3 wins here at Doune, 1 up at Fintry. So
He is accelerating this actually, because the second win was 28 years after the first. the third one was 3 years after the second, and the fourth one was in the same afternoon as the third.
So we could go backwards soon. The next win will be yesterday.
Yes, it's possible he might win another 750 rounds on the way home tonight. Just the way things are accelerating.
Well, the next rounds of the National Championship are a double-header weekend in 3 weeks' time at Barburn on the Saturday and Harewood on the Sunday. It's a luxury for the drivers, having 2 weekends off in between. The very first 5 rounds of this year's championship, first 5 weekends, were held 5 out of 6 weekends. So having 2 weekends off will be a luxury, but I know some of them will be at Prescott next weekend for a Midland round. So they keep going all through the year for your entertainment.
Fantastic stuff. Well, I'm going to sign out from the commentary box then at the top of the hill. I don't know if we're going to be, might well be continuing the stream for a wee while down the bottom, and I don't know if John Brown can lead us with that for the moment, but from myself up at the commentary box, thank you very much for listening. To all of you on the live stream as well for watching. It's been great having you commenting and watching the footage, and hopefully we'll see more of you actually at Doune in the future and other hill climb events, of course, around the country. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I've had a great time up here as well from the box. The sun's beginning to come out as well, so should keep us all nice and warm and dry for the rest of the evening. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone for that. I'm going to pass you down to John Brown and anyone else who's still on the comms for the next wee while in the paddock. But from me, thank you very much, and we'll see you hopefully very soon. See you later. Bye.
Thank you, John, and thank you for all your hard work leading from the top of the hill there. And hopefully we'll see you again in September and Doune, and maybe you'll be driving again soon. And good luck in your next 750 Motor Club race as well.
I'm still around to hear all that, so thank you very much, John. I appreciate that.
And then the first thing most drivers do coming down is get their laptops out. Plug the car in, make sure it's ticky to boot. Will just get his laptop out. Good one there for Wallace, another second place for Wallace this afternoon. Keeps his championship lead going, and very frustrating for Nicola, I think. A ladies' record, and then both our attempts at thank you, Sean. Both our attempts at qualifying are blighted by a bit of a shower at the start of the runoff. So a bit of a mixed weekend for Nicola, but congratulations on her new record. And obviously, Sean Gould being congratulated again by Chris Kramer, 1985 Hill Climb champion, on a wonderful double victory here at Doune. And really, for a weekend of what was sort of unpromising weather, we've had a remarkable number of class records and let's say ladies' records as well. We've got the class records from Johnathen Varley and from Richard Spedding. We've some really, and also John Albiston, if that record is confirmed. And we've had, for such changeable conditions, a remarkably incident-free and trouble-free weekend. I'll just Sean told his family they're running away from me, so I'll catch him later, I'm sure. Alex Summersdale will be a bit disappointed with that second run, only a 7th place finish for Alex there, and we'll talk to him later. Trevor coming back from 6th this first run to 4th this afternoon. Maybe come back onto form again. And I'm sure if you want to hang around, there'll be a presentation of prizes in the outside the timing office, outside the official office shortly, where all the class winners will be able to pick up their prizes and mementos for the weekend. And as we see the cars being put away, the sunshine comes out, probably the best sunshine of the day. Just as